We're not going to stall. We're going to go straight into our intro. Today, my audio spiking. We have a big announcement. We're back. We were gone for 4 days. We actually low-key went outside. We touched grass in a different state. I won't say where, but we went out of state. We touched grass. It felt good. And those 4 days that I was gone, I caught up with Eliseed. I caught up with Tibet. I'm like at chapter 100 in SSS. SSS class Revival Hunter. I've read like half of book 1 of Percy Jackson. I touched so much grass when I was like, it was actually kind of it was mind-boggling. But we're back and we're here to read Lord of the Mysteries, chapter 760, volume 4, The Undying. We're gonna finish this volume in 1 week. Milosh said no takebacks, but I will try and do my best to finish it. Yeah, I read it off stream. I did read it off stream. I got really sucked into it and I just kept reading. I do apologize for not reading that on stream, but we hit 100. So we're going to read the last however many chapters on stream. It's been 10 minutes. You've been silent. No. We were hugging Ellie. But thank you. Okay, now that we're back on track, low-key, the recording is only... Actually, are we even recording? Yes, I think we're recording. That's so weird. All right, we're going to read Lord of the Mysteries. I hope you guys are ready. Let's go. Chapter 760. What a small circle. Wait, I was like a minute behind. What a small circle. I thought she would contemptuously say that she doesn't like immature, incompatible men, hunting that she isn't impressed with ordinary people, when who knew she can't even be bothered to answer this question. This chapter is going to be a little bit scuffed because it's like we're back after 4 or 5 days, so I got to get in the groove of it. This chapter is going to be a little scuffed, but then we'll get back on track. The sense of superiority will easily lead to a loss of control for subsequent advancements. Klein couldn't help but lampoon inwardly. I'm gonna lower the volume on my end. From what he knew, Beyonders who were only humans who had additional powers, it was equivalent to having the penalty of money or status. In fact, they were still considered human that have no way of escaping human society. Only by reaching sequence 4 would one experience a qualitative change. Furthermore, most demigods continue being active in human society. Even the sequence 1 snake of fate, Will Ossipton, is being an obedient unborn fetus. Perhaps only at the level of blasphemer Amon and the others will there be able to be the view real. Wow, I can't read. I was gone. I touched grass for way too long, man. I gotta get back in the groove. And the others, will they be able to view the real world as a god Klein's mind world, as they said? I'm sorry, I was once a merchant who often spent time with the northern continent and southern continent, and I have had little experiences with a ball. Heh? I mean, this type of ball. It's fine, Hazel replied calmly, as though she didn't care about the topic he had just raised. If it were anyone else, there wouldn't have been a lot. They would have been at a loss for the conversation with this arrogant lady. All they could do was focus on the dance, but Klein was considered quite a knowledgeable and experienced person at this point. He knew quite a bit of the different Beyonders and mysterious worlds, so this was his apology. He said with a smile, "This is a challenge that isn't simpler than the sea. It similarly has beautiful scenery, but hides countless difficulties. Of course, the sea also has stories of all kinds of treasures. Some of them are clearly fake, but others sound rather realistic, but others impossible to verify. It's just like the Death's Key that's ranked first amongst them. Death's Key." Hazel looked up at Mr. Dwayne Dantes, who was a lot taller than her. Indeed, a Beyonder with a strong sense of superiority would often have their interest piqued when it's something that involves mystery. Klein chuckled inwardly, and he nodded gently. Hello, Tim Overgrass. Ignore grass, embrace. I know, we have to embrace it. We touched grass for way too long. We got to get back, man. We got to get back in the groove. I promise you guys out. We have to stop touching grass. Yes, it's rumored to be hidden somewhere in the Berserk Sea. He used the legends he had heard back when he was aboard the White Gate, and he added more of the details he had heard during his career as an adventurer. During this process, he couldn't avoid mentioning the 4 kings and the 7 pirate admirals. Hazel was clearly interested in these, as she responded to Klein in a rare instance. She would even occasionally ask other questions, making the dance between them less awkward. Without realizing it, their dance came to an end. Klein skillfully ended the topic and switched to asking, "Do you plan on returning to where you were, or do you plan on heading over to get some food?" After dance, the gentleman had to abide by the lady's wishes and send her to where she wished to go. It didn't have to be where she originally stood. Hazel opened her mouth as though she wished to ask further, but she ultimately didn't speak further. She nodded her head in a reserved manner. "Where I was, she clearly misses the stories at sea. She's just a big brat. As long as you grasp her temper and find what interests her, she's actually not difficult to interact with." Klein held back his smile as he sent Hazel back to the periphery of the dance floor when she previously stood. Let me test your LTM knowledge. What pathway is a trick master from? Marauder, lawyer, or apprentice? Trick master. Oh, wait. Milosh. Damn, that's good. Is it apprentice? I actually forgot, dude. We need to actually do, like... You know what we're going to do? It's going to be a fun video. We're going to do an LTM Jeopardy quiz. It is apprentice. Okay, I got it right. Oh, all right. See, I'm still got it. Yeah, that's where the Jeopardy music would have been playing. You see? I still got it. I still got it, dude. Damn. You know what? We are going to do like a pathway Jeopardy. I think that's going to be a fun day. We're all doing like on Discord together, and there actually can't be cheating, all right? We can't cheat on that one. It has to be faithful. During this process, I read this part. Rare instance, she would have occasionally asked other questions, making the dance between them less awkward. Without realizing it, the dance came to an end. Klein skillfully ended the topic and switched to asking, do you plan on returning to where you were, or do you plan on heading over to get some food? After a dance, the gentleman had to abide by the lady's wishes and sent her to where she wished to go. Didn't have to be where she originally stood. Hazel opened her mouth as though she wished to ask further, but she ultimately didn't speak further. She nodded her head in a reserved manner. Where I was, she clearly misses the stories at sea. She's just a big brat. As long as you grasp her temper and find what interests her, she's actually not that difficult to interact with. Klein held back his smile and sent Hazel back to the periphery of the dance floor where she previously stood. As for him, he acted casual as he walked to the long table that had all kinds of foods placed on it. He picked up a plate and began to scoop a serving pan friend dragon bonefish as he mashed it with some sliced black pepper steak. Compared to the dance and entertaining others, food is the true essence of the gathering. As Klein thought, he worked hard at trying to make his appearance while eating appear elegant enough. Wow, I butchered that. At this moment, he saw Ma'am Mary walk over and fork a piece of foie grass soaked in red wine on her plate. When Klein saw her glance at him, he politely smiled with a nodded response. How may I address you? I haven't met you before at all, and the banquet's hosted by the Member of Parliament Moched. Perhaps it was because of Dwayne Dante's gray sideburns and deep blue eyes that they were charming. The ordinary-looking Ma'am Mary, with slightly high cheekbones, took the initiative to ask. Klein laughed and replied, I'm a merchant who just returned from Desi Bay, Dwayne Dantes. I live on the streets. Ma'am, do I have the honor of knowing your name? Mary nodded and thought, and she roughly understood this man to be a merchant who was trying hard to enter the high society, just like she was previously. She said with a smile, Mary Scott Coin Company's executive director. She didn't mention that she was the biggest shareholder of the Koi Company or mentioned that she was a member of the National Atmospheric Pollution Council. This was a low and styled euphemism. Mary Schott. She has been taking up her original last name, right? She has already divorced. Klein silently thought to himself and said with a smile, I know this company. Its main business is an anthracite and high-quality coal. It has expanded rapidly in the past few months. To be frank, I have the intention of investing in it, but I don't seem capable of competing with the rest. Another quiz? I got you. We'll read that one right now. I got you. We're gonna ace that quiz. It's gonna be 2 for 2, by the way. After the atmospheric bills were passed, there was a drastic increase in demand of the anthracite and high-quality coal. Coin Company managed to develop itself in a way that exceeded its past efforts. Its overall valuation had already exceeded 250,000 pounds. Klein wasn't shooting his mouth when talking about investing, but then he believed that this industry would become even more important in the coming years until humanity found a resource to replace it. Mary had always been very proud of the National Atmospheric Pollution Report she pushed for, as well as development of the Coin Company, so she couldn't help but smile when she heard that. This is because people are beginning to pay attention to the environment that they are living in. Having said that, she gently said and said, as it gets better, trouble also increases as a result. It's one of the ladies from Volume 2. Having just acquainted himself, Klein didn't ask about the trouble with the prior acquaintances with Ma'am Mary and easily found a topic of interest and had a good conversation with her. Her attitude towards Sherlock Moriarty and Dwayne Dantes is very different. Yeah, she was in love with Sherlock. Come on. Despite being... No, I remember her. She was from Volume 2. Yeah. Wasn't she his landlady? Despite being someone who she knows, just a change in looks and identity will be giving a brand new form of treatment without any problems arising. This feeling is truly magical. As they chatted, Klein felt wistful as he felt the additional faceless potion he had consumed was quickly digesting. After a few minutes, a handsome man with bright blonde hair, the husband, hair, walked over with a cup of red wine. He smiled at Ma'am Mary and said, Mary, what are you talking about? Hybert, Mary wasn't the landlady. Hybert, this is Mr. Dwayne Dantes from Desi. His experiences at sea in the Western Ballroom are truly interesting. Mary immediately introduced the two. Dwayne, this is Mr. Hybert Hall, the eldest son of the Earl of the East Chester. We should be calling him Lord, but he prefers people to address him as Mr. Chief Secretary. Oh, Chief makes... Oh, it's the landlady. Look at that. The OG Chief. Chief is in the story. Look at that. He must be proud of himself. He's a Chief Secretary of the National Atmospheric Pollution... The Atmospheric Pollution Pollution Council has been brought up so many times since Volume 1. I feel like there has to be a bigger like plot point behind this whole organization. Like maybe this is like low-key the Twilight Hermit Order, like as a front as the Atmospheric Pollution Council, because you know how like they want to like set things in place. Like maybe they need the Pollution Council to set things in place. All is coming back together. It's coming back together. I've heard you mention it before. Of course, this was when the identity of Sherlock Moriarty was still active. The Earl of Eastchester, the major noble in the nation, he's considered the top brasses when it comes to high society. He climbed politely bowed without appearing overly low. Please permit me to convey my thanks as an ordinary citizen. The work of the National Atmospheric Pollution Council has allowed us to live in better living environments. Hybrid Hall was rather pleased with such sincere gratitude, so he smiled and replied, "This is all thanks to the hard work of all of us have put in." By the side, Mary said with a smile, "Dwayne, don't mention such matters again. You will make Hybrid arrogant." "No, I was just joking. He's more humble than all the noble children I know. He should be having a vacation in the East Chester County's fief at the time and spending his time hunting with his friends, but he immediately returned after I sent him a telegram informing him that I was invited to the ball by Member of Parliament's Mocht." I think I read it right. "It's not only for his ball, there are many things that require my attention. My father, Earl Hall, would also frequently commute between Backland and our fief before June," Hybrid seriously explained. A gentleman who places great importance on the social image, Klein made a preliminary judgment. When Mary heard that, she asked in passing, "Is there anything still keeping you back? Why are you leaving Backland? Most of my work has already been completed. There's only one matter left." My sister, Audrey, is very interested in the... My sister, Audrey, is very interested in the Backland Bike Company 10% shares? What? She hired a special... Wait, what? Sister... Mary is Audrey's sister? No, did I read that right? What? Wait, what? Audrey Hall? Wait. Whoa. Whoa. What? Wait, a gentleman who places great importance claiming preliminary judgment when Mary? Is Mary Hall? I thought Audrey only had 2 older brothers. She has an older sister? This is why you need to take your time so that you can understand. No, I picked up right away that like Audrey Hall, Mary. But what? I don't remember this. I remember he is not. No, I am reading. Hold up. Hybert Hall / Audrey. Hybert Hall? Wait, what? Hybert Hall is not the dad. Wasn't that the dad's name? Hold up. It's been like a week. Hold up. I'm getting back in the groove. Hold up. Wait, Mary's last name is not... I thought that's what she was saying, because she said sister. He is not reading. He is only... He's on autopilot. When Mary heard that, she asked in passing, "Is there anything still keeping you back when you are leaving Backland? Most of my work has already been completed. There's only one matter left." Oh, wait, what we see. Hold up. This was only the next sentence. No. Audrey is definitely not a lesbian, Milos. You're not going to get me with that one. No, they're not married. Okay, hold up. Mary was asking somebody a question, and that person responded. I thought Mary was responding. Hold up. I only got confused on one sentence. Hold up. I was on track. Hold up. Right here, look. Most of my work has... I thought Mary was saying this, but no. This is her brother responding. Most of my work has already been complete. You see, I didn't get lost. I got a little confused. And look, right here it says Hybert. Right here. Chat, stop gaslighting easy. Mary's name ends in Hall. Fucking GT. Yeah, guys, stop gaslighting me, dude, what he said. Most of my work has already been completed. There's only one matter left. My sister Audrey is very interested in Backland Bike Company, 10% shares. She hired a specialized team to help her in negotiations, and I'm responsible for overseeing the matter, Hybert said without much thought. I actually forgot Hybert's name. I forgot her brother's name was Hybert. But now we're back. We're back on track. Backland Bike Company, 10% shares. What a coincidence. I have to say that the circle of high society is quite small after all. Klein sighed inwardly as he deliberately mentioned, I also found a team to attempt to purchase the 10% shares, but I only managed to offer up 9,000 pounds. Unfortunately, I was able to compete with the other competitor and could only give up. Hybrid glanced at him with a look of surprise. You have good taste. He didn't mention how much his side's bids was to prevent his competitor from participating again. 9,000 pounds, Mary suddenly muttered, realizing that she had underestimated Dwayne Dante's wealth. At this moment, the music for the third dance sounded. Hybrid Hall turned to Mary and said, May I have the pleasure of dancing with you? That's what I've been waiting for. Mary immediately extended her hand. This made Klein unable to exchange name cards with them. However, he wasn't in a rush because it was sometime before the ball ended. I love this, man. That like all these characters are slowly starting to intertwine with each other, but like only Klein can like piece together who's who, but they don't know exactly who Klein, Dwayne, Sherlock, and like IE and so on are, man. It's so cool, dude. I can't wait for the day when like they actually figure out who he is, man. It's gonna be such a crazy hype moment. That was what I've been waiting for. Mary immediately extended her hand. This made Klein unable to exchange name cards with them. However, he wasn't in a rush because it was still some time before the ball ended. After getting another plate of food, he enjoyed it while looking at the dance floor, admiring the madams and ladies dancing. The web of the connections, it's really well made. I know, I love it, dude. During this process, he noticed the member of parliament, Mosh and Mamrian, were mingling with different guests from time to time, having happy conversations with them and even dancing with them. According to Walter, after confirming the guest list, the host needed to seriously conclude every guest performance and background so as to tailor a different topic of conversation or jokes for them. This is to make everyone feel as though they are being treated uniquely. Socializing in high society sure is troublesome. This might be why Lona's gentlemen tend to have receding hairlines. Klein lampooned as he sat in reflection. He retracted his gaze and looked at his cleared plate. He seriously considered if he should invite another lady or ma'am to dance, or if he should eat a little more. At this moment, he caught Hazel Match's figure through the corner of his eyes. She was heading for the third story with her hurried footsteps. Ooh, name? What's the number after this name? All right, next chapter. Chapter 761, Good People and Good Deeds. What happened? Klein instantly tensed up. He had experienced too many accidents in the past, and he knew that he easily found himself in beyonder matters. Upon entering something similar, he couldn't help but subconsciously be on alert. It didn't resemble some form of post... Hold up, I'm trying to fix my mic. Give me a sec. Update chapter. No, we got it. I got it. All right, let me just do this. All right, I'm just placing my mic closer to me. He had experienced so many accidents in the past, and he knew that he easily found himself involved in beyonder matters. Upon encountering something similar, he couldn't help but subconsciously be on alert. It didn't resemble some form of post-traumatic stress disorder. After seriously watching Hazel Mach's figure disappearing from the staircase, Klein sensed that she was only in a hurry and wasn't panicking. This means that she has matters under control. Besides, Mach is a member of parliament of the House of the Commons and a member of high society just below the nobles in the kingdom. There should be beyonders around protecting him. Yes, Earl Hall's eldest son is here too, so his bodyguards must be beyonders as well. Yeah, there's no shot they wouldn't be beyonders. The music is now way too loud. Besides, St. Samuel Cathedral is only a 10-minute carriage ride from Buckland Street. If anything were to really happen, the Nighthawks, priests, and bishops would rush over. Unless one has made up their mind to sacrifice themselves, no one would create an accident at this ball. Klein gradually calmed down. He had another guess regarding Hazel's situation. She was rushing to the third story to resolve the negative effects of the mystical item. The question Klein had asked Rhodes previously was where he could obtain a mystical... Oh, you're right. Rhodes alluded to her having that item. The question Klein had asked Rose previously was where he could obtain a mystical item which could steal the beyonder powers of others, and one of the answers he received was Hazel Mach. Thinking back to their dance, Hazel image rapidly reconstructed in Klein's mind when he, with her different accessories and his focus, hair, ornaments, earrings, necklace, brooch, fishnets, gloves. Which one could it be? Klein retracted his gaze and found himself thirsty. Hence, he picked up a cup of water and downed it. Just as he put down the cup, he saw his etiquette teacher, Wahana Heisen, approach him with a plate. This lady was dressed in red dress, but she didn't look tawdry? Tawdry. I think I read it right. She smiled at Dwayne Dantes and said, I noticed that you don't enjoy drinking alcohol. I've once missed an important matter as a result of drinking. Klein randomly flushed up Dwayne Dantes' character and experience as a person with his death. Of course, he knew how to restrain himself. He didn't use his faceless powers to remove a finger to prove how determining he was when making that former oath. Man, hold up. I know some people that don't know restraint, man. It's crazy, dude. When it comes to drinking, I was like, man, GG, man. Like, you know, Godspeed. When Wahana heard that, she smiled and thought, your past is filled with mystery. Ooh, almost like he's gonna become an attendant of mystery. I see what Cuttlefish did there. Your past is filled with mystery. This is fatally attractive to many young ladies. What? She didn't continue the topic as she said, I forgot to tell you the problem my husband faced has been resolved. Klein picked up a cup of champagne and raised it. He then said with a smile, this is something to be happy about. Congratulations. He didn't mention anything about him helping in secret, while Hannah gave him a deep, penetrating look as he raised a cup of red wine in her hand. Cheers. After clinking cups and taking a sip, Klein politely excused himself, put down his cup, and headed for the washroom. This wasn't because he wanted to head above the gray fog, but was solely due to the negative effects of death knell. He had drunk too much water and he needed to relieve himself. When he walked out of the washroom, Klein looked up the staircase that led from the second story to the third story. He found Hazel Mach walking down with unhurried footsteps. She wore an unperturbed expression. Indeed, it wasn't a huge problem. It's likely a result of the negative side effects of the mystical item she possesses. Now, what is it going to be? Now, remember, Klein still has to become a beast tamer. He is going to be one at the end, man. Watch. As some way, shape, or form, he is still going to... Some way, shape, or form, he's going to possess some form of mystical item that allows him to be a beast tamer. All right? You guys are saying... I know you guys are joking. It's going to happen. During the interlude between the two songs, he walked over to the lady and invited her to a dance. With Dwayne Dantes appearing and bearing his invitation was undoubtedly accepted. With him dancing, eating, chanting, and eat again, the ball slowly came to an end as the guests bade farewell one after another. Having completed his mission and exchanging name cards, Klein did the same. However, he wasn't the first or the last person to leave. I feel like the music definitely does not fit. With Dwayne Dantes appearing and bringing his invitation was undoubtedly accepted. With him dancing, eating, chanting, and eating again, the ball slowly came to an end as the guests bade farewell one after another. Having completed his mission of exchanging name cards, Klein did the same. However, he wasn't the first or the last person to leave. That's the goal. The hall soon turned silent as Mam Rihanna monitored the servants while they cleaned up the area. Meanwhile, she beckoned for her daughter, Hazel Mach. Mr. Dwayne Dantes' performance was better than I imagined. Many ladies had even asked me about him in private. Ooh, Mam Rihanna said in a veiled manner. Hazel, what's your impression of him when you were dancing and chanting with him? You're a lot more mature than girls your age. I believe in your taste and judgment. She knew her daughter very well, and she had deliberately added the last sentence. Otherwise, Hazel was unlikely to be interested in giving a detailed answer. Hazel wasn't the arrogant. When facing her mother, she said after some thought, he's not very familiar with the circle, and he easily mentions topics that can be offensive, but he's very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable. Mam Rianne was slightly surprised as she repeated her daughter's words. With her understanding of Hazel, this was a rather good compliment. She couldn't help but be worried that her daughter had taken a liking... Whoa, what? I'm sorry, didn't she say that she was a little too young for him, like, last stream? Like Dwayne Dantes, Hazel thinks little of the eligible bachelors around her because they are too young, inexperienced, and incompatible. Dwayne Dantes happens to be the kind of man that girls who mature early like. Rianne suddenly felt a little regret inviting the gentleman to the ball. No, now she's mad that her daughter has eyes on him. She knew that with Hazel's personality, she might very well elope if she were to suffer any objection to her newfound love. Hazel seemed to sense her mother's thoughts and said without emotion, I only like men who are sufficiently powerful. Rianne silently heaved a sigh of relief as she was no longer worried about the problem from before. This was because Hazel was a girl who found lying beneath her. Late at night, Hazel got up from the bed. With her night vision, she changed into clothes that facilitated movement. She climbed down from her bedroom's balcony and carefully avoided her family's bodyguards. She went all the way to the garden and came to the middle of Buckland Street. Not every sewer manhole allowed a human passage to be vertical metal ladders. I read that wrong. Hazel adeptly moved to the manhole, covered away, and climbed down before closing the cover from underneath. Nearly 45 minutes after, she moved the manhole covered again and returned into the shadows of the street. At this moment, Hazel saw a shadow nimbly flip into the garden nearby, Unit 160. She read the corresponding address. She went to his address? It was none other than Dwayne Dantes. Is she trying to sneak in? What? For what? On the manor's third story, Klein was once again awoken from his sleep due to spiritual intuition. He had the urge to capture the infiltrator that disturbed his sleep and feed it to creeping hunger. Rite of Spring does fit for more intense moments, but Rite of Spring, I will remember that. This time he directly opened his iron cigar case and released his Wraith marionette. He actually released it. Signor in the dark red coat first walked in full body mirror before leaping over the oriel window in his valet's room. He observed Richardson and saw the valet sit up as he looked at the door with fear and anxiety. The door slightly opened as a shadow flashed in. Under the crimson moonlight, the infiltrator exposed brownish yellow skin, a soft outline, and short, curly black hair. He obviously hailed from the southern continent. With a gloomy, cold aura, he stood by the door and looked at Richardson, saying in a deep voice, have you decided to... Oh, mad lad? Volume 4 in a week? You think you got the lead, Wiz? Guess again. Whisper him no. I think I'm right here. I forgot what part I was. Upon the crimson moonlight, the infiltrator exposed a brown... I read this part. With a gloomy, cold aura, he stood by the door and looked at Richardson, saying in a deep voice, "Have you decided? Do not believe that you can attain your calm life by leaving. Inside of your flows the blood of death subject. You are destined to give up everything to restore God's glory. Think about your deceased mother. Think about the insults you once suffered. Do you wish that your child would grow up under the contemptuous looks of others, to be a servant of others forever? But what can I do?" Richardson lowered his head and said with great difficulty, "Wait for the mission." The infiltrator's voice turned gentler. I'm gonna go to the gym. Yeah, dude, I gotta hit the gym back too, man. Because look, next year we're gonna be cosplaying as Klein every day. So I have 1 year to get a six-pack. I think we're gonna be able to pull it off. Trust. You guys are here to remind me, all right, every day for 1 year to hit the gym. Because we gotta pull off these Klein cosplays in Anime Expo next year. It's gonna be sick. Because the sad thing was there was barely any promotion for Lord of Mysteries, but next year is gonna be sick. And you know what, maybe we'll add one Audrey cosplay. We might just add an Audrey cosplay at Anime Expo next year. We'll see. We'll probably do like a buff. Oh wait, hold up, I took a picture with Buff Anya. You know the original Buff Anya guy? I took a picture of him. I'll post it later on Twitter. If I take a picture of him, I'm gonna be Buff Audrey next year. All right, hit the gym twice per day. Totally not trying to stall you. I know. Actually, the stalling actually did work. Now we're gonna get back. As for the infiltrator, before I get stalled for too long, he didn't seem to care about his hesitation. He treated it as though Richardson had agreed, turning around and left the room and traced his steps back. Let me just change the music. Deaf's subject, as for the infiltrator, he didn't seem to care about his hesitation. He treated as though Richardson had agreed, turned around, left the room, and traced his footsteps back. Deaf's subject, someone from the numinous Espocopate, or another organization that's trying to restore Balam. Having witnessed everything, Klein leaned back into bed and silently said, "What mission would they give Richardson? Steal my money to provide funds for the organization, or will they create a terrorist incident at one of the balls of the high society? What? That'd be wild." At that moment, the infiltrator had climbed down from the balcony, passed through the garden, and flipped out the perimeter fence made of steel bars. Suddenly, he saw a figure pounce over from his left. He dodged and clenched his fist and threw a puncture thud. The punch hit the black figure, but it pierced straight through. It was as though he had struck a shadow and created a street lamp. Meanwhile, he suffered a heavy blow to the back of his head as he fainted onto the ground. Hazel's figure immediately surfaced behind the infiltrator as she wore an excited expression. It was as though she had completed a successful scam. She quickly reined in her emotions as she had maintained her arrogant demeanor. She turned to look at the black metal gates of 160 Buckland Street. This girl bent her back and held the infiltrator by the arm as she dragged him to Dwayne Dante's doorsteps. Immediately after that, Hazel let go of her left hand, cleaned up any traces, walked forward with her chin slightly lifted, and pulled the doorbell. Then, what the fuck had just happened? My Strongest Soldier for real? Wait, Wiz, have you read ROV? I read the prologue. It was pretty good. I got the physical volume right here, and it hasn't even officially dropped, man. I got it. I know this is getting a little freaky. This girl bent her. I read this. I'm not gonna reread that part. And then she quickly departed, heading straight to her room through the shadows in the street. What was she even doing? And on the street lamp outside 160 on the black and metal gate was a piece of glass. It reflected a figure wearing a dark red coat and an old triangular hat. It had seemed the entire process. How should I deal with this? Inside the room, Klein was stumped. He knew that Hazel was doing a good anonymous deed for her neighbor to finish off and infiltrate, but why is she helping him? And why is she so strong, dude? But this way, wait, I'm dumb. But this way, if his butler were to make a police report, the matter would be investigated in detail, causing the matter to be... But why is she trying to help Dwayne? To be transferred to the Nighthawks, like, does she just like him now? When the time came, whoever struck the infiltrator unconscious would become an important question. If Klein was really an ordinary person, it wouldn't have mattered. He could allow the Nighthawks to carry out the investigation. However, not only was he a powerful Sequence 5 Beyonder, but he was also scheming to steal an item from behind China's gate. He didn't wish for an external setback to spoil his plans, or else he would have to change identities once again. To be frank, his early solution was to find a way to terminate Richardson's services. However, we had heard changed his mind a little. If I were to terminate Richardson's services, it would be equivalent to pushing him into the abyss. There's been a lot of abyss this volume, though, I'll tell you that much. There's been a lot of abyss for 4 volumes. Push him in. I better get an abyss volume. I better get something with the Abyss. There's no shot we talk about the Abyss so much and we don't get anything. Wait, here, I got you. We're going to read all that right now. Wait, hold on. There's 2 more sentences. If I were to terminate Richardson's service, it would be equivalent to pushing him into the Abyss despite his desire for a quiet life. It will force him to mix with those people. Unfortunately, Dwayne Dantes had a mission. Otherwise, helping him in passing wouldn't be difficult. Klein sighed as he thought. 10 seconds later, the unconscious infiltrator suddenly stood up, cracked his neck, and hid in the nearby shadows. At this moment, Butler Walter had walked out of the house's main door as he heard the doorbell. Next chapter. Chapter 762, Nation Reestablishment Society. At the gates, Walter used the light from the street lamps and discovered that no one was outside through the gaps. The street was silent. For an instant, Walter suspected if he had heard wrong and the doorbell hadn't rung. He composed himself and he quickly walked to the servant quarters, the back of the compound. He woke up a few servants and got them to carry double-barreled hunting rifles to begin patrolling the main building so as to prevent any bandits or burglars from infiltrating. Walter didn't immediately get the police because nothing had happened yet. The doorbell from earlier might have been a prank from a tramp. Meanwhile, under the nearby sewers, the infiltrator was holding on to the metal handles as he slowly headed down into the unlit area. He soon came to a halt, leaned back on the most covered wall, and slowly slid down to sit down on the dirty ground. His eyes closed again as though he was still in an unconscious state. In front of him, a middle-aged man wearing a dark red coat and old triangular hat instantly appeared. It was none other than Klein's marionette, Rafe Sinor. Sinor bent down, rummaged through the infiltrator's pockets, and found 7 solely, 11 pence, as well as tiny cloth bags containing different kinds of powders. Inside the room, Klein remotely controlled his marionette from dozens of meters away. As he identified the power, he discovered that his theories were correct. They were all herbal powers in the deaf domain, and a portion of them could be used for spirit channeling. It was very likely to be a beyonder from the corpse sculptor pathway that held from Balam, from the southern continent, Balam. From the southern area, Balam? Right? Because that's where all the deaf believers are in the southern continent. Even if he hadn't reached sequence 7 spirit medium, it was very normal for him to prepare the corresponding herbal powers, essential oils, and extracts. After all, these materials weren't only used for spirit channeling. Immediately, Klein controlled Senor to set up a ritual to pray to the fool. Then he went above the gray fog to respond, allowing Senor to complete what followed. After doing all of this, he returned to the real world and continued controlling Senor, allowing him to channel the spirit. Passing through a storm of glimmers, Klein saw the infiltrator spirit. He appeared listless, blurry, and translucent. What's your name? What faction do you belong to? Senor asked with a deep voice. The infiltrator answered blankly, Godopos? What? What organization is this? Godoptos. Text to speech. Hold up.
The infiltrator answered blankly, Godopos.
You know what? We'll just say Gojo. We'll just say Gojo. Gojo, I belong to the Black Skeleton Gang. Black Skeleton Gang, I believe it's a gang that's active around the border of the East Borough and the dock area close to the Backland Bridge area. It's mainly filled with people of the Balam heritage, although they aren't as barbaric and boorish as the Zamagiri gang. They aren't Zamagiri from Volume 2. Zamagiri gang, they aren't stranger to the violence. As Klein recalled the intelligence he had previously gathered, he made Senor continue asking, what do you mainly do? Why are you looking for Richardson? Gojo answered in a muddled state, we are fighting for God. We were originally members of the Balam Nation Reestablishment Society. So this is going to be like the dev volume. Oh, no wonder it's called The Undying. Oh, yep. I think death is going to be a bigger focus than the true creator of this volume. That's probably what's going to happen. We established the Black Skeleton Gang to grasp various intel and obtain funds. Apart from that, we also had another mission. It is to seek out items related to death and send it back to the southern continent. This time, we obtained and verified information that the Earl Wolf collected is a mask taken out from the Eggers family mausoleum. This family is a descendant of God. For this mask, we need to send someone to infiltrate Earl Wolf's household as a servant or infiltrate during one of the balls and banquets he hosts, and Richardson is an excellent choice. He has no history with any of the other organizations, and he's an experienced servant. The servants of nobles are often inherited. It's obviously not easy to infiltrate. Only short-term employments will be made if there's a sudden need for plenty of manpower. You know what? I think we're gonna say it right here. 24-hour stream. Monday. Maybe Sunday. I'm gonna double check with the missus. Sorry, I'm thinking this right here, right now. I'm planning in my head. We're gonna do a 24-hour stream either Sunday or Monday. Well, hold up. Unofficial, official 24-hour streams for as long as we can. Cap? Dude, I'm capping your comment. Watch. Okay, unofficial 24-hour stream. And by unofficial 24-hour stream, we just stream as long as we can. All right. We'll see what happens. Speaking of which, there really is such a situation. At the ball today, a few ladies had met. Hopefully, I don't fall asleep on stream. At the ball today, a few ladies have mentioned that some nobles who are financially tight will sell lots of their lands and manors, and also dismiss nearly all the servants, leaving fewer than 10 to serve them, so as to barely maintain a decent lifestyle. When there are large-scale balls or banquets that require manpower, they would spend money to hire a bunch of temporary workers from the Family Servant Assistance Association to keep up a front. Also, Earl Wolf actually has a mask from the descendants of the Death's family. I recall Mr. Zick's last name to be Eggers. Unfortunately, I don't wish to be disturbed by any actions at the moment, otherwise I might have come up with a way to help Mr. Zick obtain the mask. Klein mumbled silently and made Sonor continue asking, how do you know Richardson? Stops for 23 hours reading. That'd be so fucking funny. Nah, dude, you guys would not unironically. You guys would actually be mad at me. I feel like you guys would like genuinely stop watching me if that's what happens. Or we just play the horse racing game for like 23 hours and just read for 1 hour. Also, Earl Wolf actually has a match from the Descendants Death family. Let me reread this part just so I can be on track. I recall Mr. Zick's last name to be Eggers. Unfortunately, I don't wish to be disturbed any actions at the moment. Otherwise, I might come up with a way to help Mr. Zick obtain the mask. Klein mumbled silently and made Sinner continued asking, how do you know Richardson? Gojo said blankly, we got to know each other at the manor in East Balm. Back then, we were both slaves. Among the slaves, there are people who secretly spread the faith of death. Richardson, his mother, and I couldn't help but become believers of death in such a life. We secretly joined an organization that had a lot of influence among the slaves there. Later, Richardson's mother passed away from an illness, and he was brought to Backland while I stayed in East Balm before I found an opportunity to escape. A few years later, I was sent to Backland and I changed. Oh, that was really loud. If it's too loud, let me know. Nah, but we would make fun of it. Yeah, definitely. Among the slaves, there are also people who secretly spread faith of the deaf Richardson. His mother and I couldn't help but become believers of death in such a way. We secretly joined. Let me lower it. We secretly joined an organization that had a lot of influence among the slaves there. Later, Richardson's mother passed away from an illness, and he had brought to Backland while I stayed in East Balm before I found an opportunity to escape. I'm just reading. Is Easy gonna watch episode 4? I think I'm gonna wait Nosferatu. I think I just want to read for as much as I can right now. A few years later, I was sent to Backland, and I chanced upon Richardson. He's actually forgot about his mother's death and the abuse he had once revived. He forgot his faith towards God, and he will be and has his will eroded by what he called a peaceful life. To avoid me, he deliberately made mistakes and kept switching employers, but how could he have guessed that his former companion is no longer an ordinary human? Everyone has a right to choose as long as they don't harm others. However, Richardson and I are two different kinds of people. In the room, Klein closed his eyes and made Sinner ask in a deep voice, what's an organization that's very influential among the slaves? Gojo hesitated for a moment and said, the Eternal Life Society? I feel like that's fitting, right? Like, they're like, oh, we believe in the Eternal Life Society. Those who believe in death will obtain eternal life in the underworld. Yeah. So all the death believers, right? The Eternal Life Society, like life continues. Those who believe in death will obtain eternal life in the underworld. Once they leave the real world that's filled with pain and sorrow. According to my calculations, 4 should appear in episode 6. Oh, that's gonna be hype. I'm so pumped for that, dude. I'm excited to finally see her like animated, dude. It's gonna be so cool. Eternal Life Society. I'm aware of this. It's a branch of Numinous Episcopate. As a former Nighthawk, Klein knew quite a lot about such matters. He continued controlling Center to interrogate Gojo, and he obtained plenty of information regarding Eternal Life Society, East Balm Nation Reestablishment Society, and the Black Skull Gang, while confirming that Gojo and his gang had their hands covered in blood of the innocent. After finishing the spirit channeling and clearing up any traces, he waited 30 minutes before letting the Wraith enter Gojo's body, controlling him to climb out of the sewers and return back into the shadows of the street. At this point, the servants on 160 Boakland Street who were wielding double... I forgot they were holding guns. Isn't Derek before Fours? No, I feel like... No. Derek is after. Who's the best girl for you? Say Fours. You know what? Fours? She's high up there, Milosh. I think it's Sharon and then Fours. Don't get mad, but she's like top 2. Don't get mad, Milosh. Take it or leave it. I really like Sharon. Sharon's growing on me a lot, and I feel like Fours is like top 3. Just Like, she's top 3. Nice. I feel like Force is top 3, but I think Sharon is still my favorite. Sharon, yeah. I as of right now, Sharon is my #1 waifu, and Force is like in the top 3. I don't know if she falls in 2 or 3. I gotta think about it. But yeah, I feel like she's definitely top 3. But yes, I think right now I am on Sharon over Force based. But I love both. I love both equally. Hopefully none die. Knock on wood. I pray to the full. They both live happily ever after at the end of the series. But I'm gonna leave it right there. Force can be turned into a characteristic? No, definitely not. That is so mean. Don't say that, Beck. After finishing the spirit channel and cleaning up any traces, he waited 30 minutes before letting the Wraith enter Gojo's body, controlling it. I read this part. They had the double barrel guns, right? Client pretended as though he didn't notice anything as he continued sleeping in his master's bedroom. However, he had already set up a ritual to summon and respond to himself. With a Zig's copper whistle, the iron cigar case, and creeping hunger, he suddenly left his residence in the form of spirit. He followed behind Gojo and constantly maintained a distance of 18 meters. It's 240 feet? No, wait, man. I don't know my meters. Sharing supremacy? Dude, I don't know. Bro, can you tell I'm American? I don't know what meters are in inches, bro. I do not know. What is 80 meters in freedom units? You know, what is that in freedom units? I don't know, dude. By using his marionette to possess this hostage, he made him circle to another street and board a rental carriage by the side of the road. About an hour later, Gojo returned to the headquarters of the Black Skeleton Gang, a tiny house situated near the docks. 1 meter is 3 inches, I think. Okay, so 200 and... Oh, not feet. 240 inches? Now, what is... 3 feet? Okay, I believe you guys. Whatever you guys say is. Literally came just to support my quiet queen. I'm in the gym. I go now. Yo, you go hit the gym, bro. Hell yeah, bro. Get them gangs. Don't forget, Anime Wiz, PPL. Push, pull, leg. That is the best format. You can do push, pull, leg, break, push, pull, leg, break. Or you can just do push, pull, leg until 6 days in a row and take a break. Like 3,000 inches. That's a lot of inches. He followed behind Jojo and constantly maintained a distance of 80 meters. By using his marionette to possess this hostage, he made him circle to another street and board a rental carriage by the side of the road. About an hour later, Gojo returned to the headquarters of the Black Skeleton Gang, a tiny house situated near the docks. There were plenty of firearms stashed away, with several operatives that were sent for East Bala Nation Reestablishment Society. They formed the upper ranks of the Black Skeleton Gang. Following this method that was agreed upon, Gojo knocked on the door and he said to the members who came towards him, "Richardson," he submitted. Very good. The member inattentively shot Gojo a glance, made way for him, and gave him passage. Gojo surveyed the area and found that the high-yield explosives and a bunch of rifles stacked in the corner of the house. A few of the top brass of the Black Skeleton Gang were gathered together discussing something. Wait, I need to clip it perfectly so easy. So no comment. Gojo wants Gojo want a smoke. The member from before handled, guys, quickly private the stream. The member from before handed him a cigarette. This was a cigarette fashioned to the preference of the southern continent. They were made from the dried tobacco leaves mixed with tiny amounts of herbs. Gojo received the cigarette and casually picked up the box, matchsticks from the table, took out a few sticks, and lit them. Then he threw the few burning matchsticks to the corner where the easily flammable explosives were. Everyone present looked at Gojo with a dumbfounded look, momentarily lost as to what had happened. Rumble? Did he just make it blow up? On a public bench dozens of meters away, Klein sat there as the flames blazed behind him. What the fuck? A hog? He's like, why were you throwing out the explosives? What? A hot gust of air swarming out of the house. A few seconds later, Sonora in his dark red coat appeared beside him with some signs of being burned. The Wraith held his hand to his chest and bowed before returning inside the gold coin inside the iron cigar case. Unfortunately, I won't be able to pick up the bionic character. What the that is so sick, dude. Having a marionette is so badass. Unfortunately, I won't be able to pick up the bionic characteristics, otherwise it wouldn't appear like an accident. I'll definitely that's wild. I'll definitely be suspicious if the upper echelons of the Black Skeleton Gang don't have any beyonders. Klein silently said as he cleared any traces before ending the summoning and returning above. That is so busted. You fool. You fool. No pun intended, dude. He literally did kill them all, dude. Summoning and returning above the Grey Fog. The next morning, he got up and washed up as though nothing had happened. He then waited for his valet to bring in and change of clothes. Richardson entered in silence as he finished his work skillfully. Following that, he took a step back and bowed his head. Sir, after serving you this week, I wish to resign. Choked on my saliva. He typically received a weekly salary from a housekeeper paying job. Why? Klein looked at himself in the mirror as he adjusted his vest. Meanwhile, he leisurely thought, not bad at all. You know how to resign by your own violation and not bring trouble to your employers. Richardson had already thought of an excuse. I believe I'm lacking the ability to be a valet. No. At last night's ball, I realized how lacking I was when I interacted with the servants of the other guests. Klein smiled. Everyone begins with zero experience. Few grew with the experience. Consider it again and give me your final answer tomorrow. Yes, sir. Richardson didn't speak further as he took the initiative to leave the room. He went to the first floor to help his employer pick up the morning papers. During this process, he would always first flip through it and place the most interesting articles at the top. While flipping through, his gaze froze as he focused on an article. An explosion happened at 79 Durham Street in the Backland Bridge area. It's suspected to be related to Black Skeleton Gang. According to the police, all the upper echelons of the Black Skeleton Gang died, and literally he killed them all. No comment? That's a little too much right there, Milosh. No, definitely not. We definitely don't need that. According to the police, all the upper echelons of the Black Skeleton Gang died in an accident, including Lima, Moria, and Gojo. This Richardson shook his head, suspected that he was dreaming. So now Richardson can say, what? Are we getting Mr. X? Oh, if it's tea, we can look at tea. Yeah, I need some tea. I do. Wait. We're actually getting Mr. X. This dude has been mentioned since Volume 1. In Volume 1 for the Aurora Order, they mentioned that the Saints... No, not the 5 Saints. My bad. No, wait, it's the 5 Cardinals and all the Saints. It ranked from Mr. A to Mr. X. Mr. X was the last one. Oh, so that means Mr. X is going to be stronger and more sinister and crazier and twisted than Mr. A. So Mr. A would have been the first one in the ranking, and Mr. X is the last one in the ranking. Oh, that is so hype. All right, let's keep reading, man. I swear I'm not capping. These have been in my notes since Volume 1. I choked on my saliva. Aurora Order is composed of 22 oracles. Mr. A through Mr. X. There is no Mr. Z. Yeah, X, hold up. There was never 24 oracles. It's always been stated that there's 22. It's not one for every alphabet. It ends at X. There's no Y, and I find it very coincidental that there's no Y or Z. Maybe Y and Z are like the big bad guys. Kind of how like in Xenoblade 3, you get the whole XYZ thing going on. If you know, you know. But it ends at Mr. X. It's 22 oracles, Mr. A through Mr. X, and then there's the 5 saints. Now it goes A to G. Nah. Those have been in my notes since Volume 1. So I know I'm not lying. Those have been in my notes. That's been mentioned since Volume 1. Look at that. Look at that. I looked at my notes that I made from Volume 1, and that actually helped. Mr. X, 160 Buckland Street, inside the dining hall on the second... Wow, look, I'm crying, man. I choked on my saliva. That was really bad. 160 Buckland Street, inside the dining hall on the second floor. Klein had just bitten into the buttered toast his servant had served him when he saw his butler walk in. Sent you the receipt for the throat goat tea in the DMs. Bet. I'll look at it right now. If it's actual tea, we'll buy some. Laugh out. I was gaslighting. Oh. I didn't fall for that one. Klein had just bitten into the buttered toast his servant had served him when he saw his butler walk in. Walter bowed and said, "Sir, a person of unknown origins pulled our doorbell last night. As it was already very late, I didn't wake you up, and instead got the servants to patrol the area with the double-barreled hunting rifles. If you permit it, I'll visit a nearby police station to get them to reinforce the patrols on the streets at night. To employ such a butler, there aren't any flaws aside from him being expensive." Klein nodded slightly and drank the fresh milk that he had been delivered to him. Very good. 39 Buckland Street, member of the Parliament, Motch House. Hazel entered the activity room on the second floor and saw her mother, Rianne, chatting with the housekeeper. What happened? She pushed a lock of the black-green hair to the back of her ear. Oh, she has black-green hair? Rianne chuckled and said, "Someone rang Dante's doorbell last night. A prank." Hazel sat down. "No one knows. Anyways, Dante's butler specially went to the police station this morning." Rianne recounted what she had learned from her servant. Damn, she looks... Everyone hoping on after one recommend the throat coat. We'll look at the tea. Hopefully it's good tea. Hazel nodded slightly and said, "It's best to have the police involved, but it's useless. No one knows who pulled the doorbell. Apparently there wasn't anyone there." Rianne left while shaking her head. Hazel was taken aback as she blurted out, "There wasn't anyone there." That's right, Dante's butler only seemed to ask the police to double their efforts on the night's patrol on the street. That's good news. As the wife of the member, she's like, "How? What? But I knocked him out right there. Where is he?" As the wife of the member of parliament of the House of the Commons and the daughter of the famous lawyer, Rianne had very good relationships with the police. Not a single person. Hazel repeatedly, softly before falling into silence. After a while, she left the activity room and returned to the third story. Along the way, she couldn't help but clench her fist and swing it as though she was testing something. In between her brows was a clear look of puzzlement. She was like, "What happened to the body?" Inside his bedroom, Klein looked at the large pile of the golden coins in front of him, and he saw the shining color of gold. There was a total of 4,000 pounds of gold coins. After a week of gathering funds, Admiral Starr's cat Leah had finally completed the transaction for the scales of luck. Apart from the gold coins, she had also paid another 6,500 pounds in cash. To be honest, having a pile of gold coins is way more visually shocking than a pile of cash of the same size. As Klein sighed, he took out the 13 Lowen coins and he received from Senar from his pocket and threw it into the pile. After doing all this, he took out the adventurous harmonica and blew it off for Renette. Suddenly, Renette Tinker appeared in front of him with his 4 blonde red eyes head in her hands. Head. "Ma'am, this is the first installment, total of 4,013 pounds. Klein retracted his gaze from the pile of gold coins and looked at Miss Messenger. He was actually quite curious as to how Miss Messenger would move such a... I feel like she'd eat it. Or I feel like she'd grow big because she was originally big in the spirit world. Eat it, and then it's gone. Miss Messenger would move such a huge pile of coins. He remembered that she always used her teeth when collecting letters. Very good. You still have 5,987. Damn, she's good at math. Ed said one after another. "There's no need to remind me." Klein forced a smile and said, "I'll try to gather the rest as soon as possible." Renette didn't speak further as one of her heads tried hard to open its mouth. Suddenly, the area before her turned dark and deep. All the gold coins were sucked in by the vortex like surging waters. Oh, that's cool. In a few short seconds, a large pile of gold coins vanished. Renette's 4 heads nodded at the same time before returning to the spirit world. "I still have 8,158 pounds and 5 Lowen gold coins. I can barely be considered a tycoon. I could actually afford any investment opportunities if they appear, and it won't just be me raising the price and mentioning it in passing. This way, I won't be suspected to be a cheat for the time being. Be a little optimistic. Perhaps the investment opportunity might allow me to earn back the money I spent. It's always fast to make money work for you." Klein silently exhaled as he cast his gaze out the window, forcing him to enjoy the thinly fogged streets. At night, I skipped down too much. Whoa, I lost my place. At night time in the East Borough, the surrounding area was pitch black due to the few street lamps available, along with many of them being damaged. It was as though there were countless monsters and criminals lurking within. Damn, chat is so dead. I feel we're a little bit locked in. It's okay. It happens. You're right. It's like we give some, we take some. Like we have our active days. He lost us. No. We didn't lose our place. We have our days where we're quiet and we have our days where we're active. I mean, also I've been a little inactive, so I guess it makes sense. At nighttime in East Borough, the surrounding areas was pitch black due to the few street lamps available, along with many of them being damaged. It was as though there were countless monsters and criminals lurking within. Shio Derecho was a hooded cloak turning into a small alley and came outside to what seemed like a dilapidated house. This was a new gathering in Eastborough she was previously mentioning to Force. Shio wasn't in a rush to knock on the door with the agreed upon signal. She first looked down to check her attire. Unlike how she usually dresses, she wore a pair of long boots. They didn't look odd, but Shio knew very well that the soles were very thick. She had stuffed plenty of things inside, allowing a person to magically appear taller, and this effectively hid Shio's greatest characteristic, feeling assured by the presence of her triangular blade. Shio pulled her hood up and knocked on the door with her signal. Soon she was led into the activity room inside as she randomly found a spot to sit down. After the participants had mostly arrived, the house of the gathering finally walked in. He was a medium build with a height of 1.75 meters. He wore a black classical robe, a pointed mage hat with a brass mask on his face. He gave off an ancient and mysterious... Oh, the mask! Is it the one that's been giving her stuff? Our chatting power dried out. Yeah, no, we're a little dried out. It happens. We gotta recharge. Rather dark-skinned, but it's not exactly brown. He resembled someone from the Fated Potter or Desi Bay, but I can't be sure. It might be a tan. He has raven black curly hair. This does match my first guess. She sized him up as a sheriff. The man in the brass mask looked around the room before laughing deeply. You can call me Mr. X. Oh, shit, dude. Oh, the Aurora Order is back, dude. Oh, this is scary. Nah, it's not going to be a death volume. It's definitely going to be an Aurora Order volume. Therefore, she knew very well that the oracles of the Aurora Order used alphabets as their code names, and they enjoyed dressing themselves as Mr. or Ma'am. And from her point of view, to address themselves in front of others in such a manner was obvious exposure of their identity and background. After all, the members who participated in these gatherings were mostly beyonders who were lacking in knowledge. Isn't he afraid that others would report him? It's no one. I mean, they're all crazy. Mr. X, here we go, man. I feel like I'm playing Resident Evil 2 over here, right? Mr. X. And from her point of view, to address themselves in front of others in such a manner was obvious exposure of their identity and background. After all, the members who participated in these knowledge were mostly beyond who were lacking in knowledge. Isn't he afraid that others will report him? It's no wonder the gentleman from MI9 said that the Aurora Order is filled with lunatics, that there's no way to understand their actions with the logic and the average person. Ever since Mr. A vanished, there have been a few gatherings in Backland, and the impersonators are gathering that were hosted by his associates for their own benefit. The hosts were quickly reported and ended up being arrested. It's not necessarily the case that Mr. X is from your order. Perhaps he's just like the others. Shio retracted her observing gaze and silently watched the gathering continue. She seldom reported the matters because she had experience as an unaffiliated beyonder. She knew it was easy to survive in this world with such identities, so as long as there wasn't any accident, she wouldn't provide such intel to MI9. If it confirmed that he's an oracle of the Aurora Order, I'll report him. These people are all lunatics. They will bring about extreme danger. As Shio thought over the matter, she watched the others exchange information and complete trades. She didn't participate much in time. She Firstly, because there wasn't any information or item interest, and secondly, this was saving up for the interrogator potion. After the end of the gathering, she returned to her residence at Sherwood Borough. Shio saw Forrest wearing a face mask that was said to be able to moisture faces. What? As she lay there leisurely reading, how was it? How was the gathering? Forrest asked, pretending as though she wasn't interested. Shio threw her cloak to the side and said there was quite a number of participants, and there was quite a number of items as well, but they were mostly from low sequence beyonders. No one will offer anything good at the first gathering, Forrest said as she lowered the novel in her hands. Yet Shio nodded and said the organizer of the gathering calls himself Mr. X, but no one knows if he's related to Mr. A. Mr. X, he suspected Aurora Order Oracle. Could he be Lewis Wayne? Oh, Mr. X could be Lewis Wayne? The one she was talking about earlier, right? Could he be Lewis Lane? Forrest's attention was caught as she languidly leaned back and asked, what does he look like? So this is Lewis Wayne was the one that allegedly took out her teacher's brother. He wore a mask, right? Is that what it was? Like she wants to avenge him. He wore a mask. She rolled her eyes at her. Do you think I have the ability to see through the obstacles? No. I mean his build. Forrest had seen Lewis Wayne's full figure thanks to the teacher, Dorian Gray, and he knew characteristics. Yes? Okay. See, I haven't forgotten anything. We're still on track. As the sheriff, Shio easily restored Mr. X's appearance and asked out of puzzlement, regardless if he's related to Mr. A or not, isn't he worried that he will be reported for having such a name? After Forrest heard Shio's description and saw the portrait she made with her sheriff powers, she was delighted. Just as a high chance that Mr. X was a traitor of the Abraham family, Lewis Wayne. He's not afraid of being reported because he's a traveler. He can calmly escape no matter what happens. If the official organizations were to use their experience like how they dealt with Mr. A, there's really no way that he can restrain him. Forrest silently mumbled. She stopped talking about the topic and switched to something else. After Shio went to take a bath, she hurriedly used her powers as an astrologer to ask her spirituality as she stacked Lewis Wayne's image with Mr. X's image before obtaining the answer that they were one and the same. It's really him. Forrest stood up as she paced about in excitement and glee in the living room. Her first thought was to report it to various major churches and also include the tip-off that the target had powers of a traveler. Following that, she recalled her prior attempt at hiring Mr. World to assassinate Lewis Wayne. Regardless, I should first ask Mr. World if he's free to take on a mission. I can't offend him. Upon recalling everything Mr. World has done for Forrest couldn't help but shiver. After making up her mind, she first checked that Shio was having a bath and wouldn't come out anytime soon before praying to Mr. Fool. Please tell Mr. World that the Aurora Order Oracle, Lewis Wayne, has appeared, and there's a high probability that he's a traveler codenamed Mr. X. Oh, it's gonna be such a good Beyonder fight, dude, when that happens. Oh my, I'm so excited, dude. Oh, I'm so pumped for this. All right, chapter 764. Actually, I only put 66. We're at 64. It's called First Investigation. Klein was returning from St. Samuel Cathedral to Bulkland Street on a four-wheeled carriage when he heard the stacked illusionary pleas. A female, it's nothing urgent. All he... Hold up. I'm sorry if you guys can hear my mic a lot. I'm trying to kind of like fix this a little bit. Just give me a sec. All right, perfect. As long as I don't move it, I think I'm trying to like back up from my screen just a little bit so it doesn't strain my eyes too much. But I'm trying to organize this. Perfect. Klein was returning from St. Samuel Cathedral to Bulkland Street on a four-wheeled carriage when he heard the stacked illusionary pleas. A female, it's nothing urgent. All he did was make a rough judgment and didn't immediately head above the gray fog to respond. Sweeping his glance at the street lamps which were dispelling the darkness, Klein retracted his gaze and raised... Oh, wow. Hold up. This is actually bad. I apologize for that. A female, it's nothing urgent. All he did was make a rough judgment and didn't immediately head above the gray fog to respond. Sweeping his glance at the street lamps, which were dispelling the darkness, Klein retracted his gaze and raised white porcelain with gold rims to take a sip. Beside him, Richardson noticed this and said, after mustering his courage, "Sir, I thought it through. You're very right. Everyone starts with zero experience. Few grow up with experience. Thank you for giving me this chance to grow." After confirming that Gojo and gang were dead, he was finally at ease as he began considering his professional career. Switching employers repeatedly in a short period of time was a strain on servants' records. Once he resigned from Dwayne Dante's employee, Richardson believed that it would be difficult for him to continue being a valet. This would be extremely damaging for him. This was not only because a valet's annual salary was at least £25 and was very better than any other non-management jobs. It was comparable to a lady's maid, and being a valet gave one the greatest opportunity of becoming a butler. By following their male or female employers and helping them with all kinds of trivials, being their mouthpiece and assistant would allow them to build up their skills. It would allow him to grasp all the trades needed for being a butler, and as a result become their employer's confidant. As long as there was a chance, one could easily be made a land steward, butler assistant, or deputy butler, as they were slowly promoted to a butler. I read that really wrong. I apologize. Richardson did yearn for a peaceful life, but this didn't mean that he was willing to be a servant his entire life. Without a doubt, he wished to rely on his hard work to earn money and gain a higher standing, and becoming the butler of a wealthy family was his ultimate goal. It is not too late to realize that now, Klein replied with a smile, consenting to Richardson's retention. After returning to 160 Bulkland Street, his instructed housekeeper Tanja to prepare the supper for him at 11:30 as he headed for the third story, where he took off his coat and entered the bathroom. At that moment, the bathtub had already been heated to appropriate temperature by a maid 5 minutes ahead of time. Klein wasn't in a rush to take his bath, and he went above the gray fog to determine who had prayed to him. Mr. X Traveler, Miss Magician, is rather efficient. Without realizing it, she had matured quite well. Klein muttered to himself. After some serious consideration, he conjured the world, Gurman Sparrow, and made this fake person pray amidst the veil of the gray fog. Give me time, location, and provide more information. Only then will I take action. Klein's idea was very simple. He found a traveler's powers rather useful, but it was difficult for Dwayne Dantes to have a period of prolonged absence from Bulkland Street, or to stay in his room all the time. It would be fine if Miss Magician could provide detailed and reliable intel, allowing him to carry out the assassination once. But if she were to get the world to slowly gather information bit by bit, there was no way he could do it. As it affected his own plans to steal the book. Soon Forrest gave a reply. I'll try to gather it as quickly as possible. As the location and timing for Mr. X's next gathering hadn't been confirmed, all she could do was patiently wait. After setting this matter, I can't believe Klein's gonna go on another assassination attempt. Oh, it's gonna be so sick, dude. Oh, first Ailman Tracy and now Mr. X. After settling this matter, and this time he's gonna succeed. Just like he failed killing an admiral, he's gonna succeed in killing Mr. X, or assassinating him. After setting this matter, Klein returned to the real world, took off his clothes, and placed himself in the bathtub. The warm water enveloped him as he closed his eyes in comfort. He felt the fatigue that plagued his body and mind were being washed away bit by bit. During this period of time, he had been to St. Samuel Cathedral a few times to listen to the Bishop Electra's explanation of the revelation of the Evernight. He had grasped the location and the characteristics of another 2 keepers, but he hadn't seen any repeated signs preventing him from determining the schedule of the keeper, and doing such acts would similarly bring him trouble. Klein opened his eyes as he looked at the steam above him slightly irritably. The first investigation should be coming soon. A person who often entered St. Samuel Cathedral's interior will likely be investigated by the Nighthawks, and with his origin still at unknown, such an investigation was almost necessary. If there aren't any investigations, it would be a serious case of negligence from the Nighthawks. Klein slowly exhaled. In the basement, same sound of the cathedral, Leonard slowly walked out of the quiet room. His green eyes had a tint of strange black water and countless illusory bubbles as they rippled, appeared, and disappeared. Not bad, you're already Soul Azure and are almost catching up to me. Standing in the corridor with Dali Simon as she congratulated him in a self-deprecating manner. She was still wearing her hooded black robe with blue eyeshadow and blush. She had quite an uncanny sense of beauty. When Leonard looked at the familiar lady, he found her bearings even colder than before. There seems to be countless shadows hidden around her and layers that went deep and felt cold. Client's always up for honey. Oh, it's gonna be so good, dude. Clearly, I'm still very far from you. With your coordination, you should be able to advance the gatekeeper, right? Leonard didn't act too casual in front of Dali. Dali speaking rather formally. This was because if he attempted to make any jokes, the ones who would eventually be left blushing in embarrassment would definitely be him instead of the lady. Gatekeeper was sequence 5 of the death pathway. I was ready 2 months ago, so why hasn't she advanced? Dali said without concealing anything, her expression slightly warped. Leonard, so there's a reason she's not doing it? Leonard roughly understood what she meant as she nodded slightly. You haven't contributed enough. Dali curled her lips immediately. That's right. Oh, she hasn't earned enough merit. It's like I'm already in bed with everything in place, only to realize that there aren't any condoms at home. Worst of all, it's late at night and most of the stores around the neighborhood have closed for the day. Damn. All right, no comment. What an amazing analogy. What an amazing analogy. Leonard didn't think it was right for him to respond and said with a smile, you can choose to handle certain cases. Wait, they don't. Oh, wait, no. Roselle did make condoms for them. Yeah. Roselle actually did create. Klein knows how to do metaphor. That is a pretty good metaphor. Without giving Dali a chance to speak, he pointed at the other end of the corridor. Captain Soyce is still waiting for me to report on my investment. Dali didn't say a word as he watched him leave. By the time his back disappeared around the corridor, this lady's expression seemed to be turned adrift as he muttered softly, Captain Soyst. In the room where Leonard's Red Gloves team was temporarily stationed and Soyst, who had just become a spirit warlock, said with delusionary subordinate, walked in as he casually threw a doister over. Very good, you've already advanced. I'll congratulate you later. First investigate this target stream. It was already late at night, but for the Nighthawks, who were mainly staffed with sleepless, it was no different from day. They even felt stronger at night. Isn't this something that local Nighthawks do? Leonard received a doister and asked in passing. She recently been swamped with cases and are lacking in manpower. This requested our help, Soyce explained without much care. Leonard didn't ask further as he looked down and flipped through the doister. The first thing that he caught sight of was a photograph, and the middle-aged gentleman on it had given him a deep impression. Dwayne Dantes, Leonard's pupils instantly constricted. He knew this man, aware that this person was an undying monster who had survived. Wait, what? Oh no, that's what they're assuming. That's what Leonard's assuming. Dwayne Dantes, Leonard's pupils instantly constricted. He knew this man, aware that this person was an undying monster who had survived since the 4th epoch. With that ancient aura. He was at least a saint or even stronger. Furthermore, he knows my secret and an old man's identity. Leonard instinctively raised his hand to rub his temples. Captain Soyce, I just advanced and my spirituality is a little out of control. Is that so? Only then did Soyce realize that he might have made a mistake. He hurriedly turned to look at another red glove and said, Albert, you do it. Albert was a man in his 30s. His hair was slightly blonde and his skin was pale. He didn't look too healthy. Leonard heaved a sigh of relief as he handed Doister over to him. At this moment, his heart suddenly skipped a beat. Would Albert suffer any negative effects if he were to enter the undying monster stream? Don't do it. No, that's not good. Oh, it's not going to be good for them. At that moment, he felt a little regretful. He believed that he should have done it himself. At the very least, he knew that the level of danger had faced him before. It wouldn't result in him provoking him. Dwayne Dantes is likely won't do anything to Albert. If he had any excessive reactions and causes anything abnormal to happen to Albert, he would immediately expose his problems to us. And with our church's strength and background situations, there's no way he could leave the city alive. That's what you think. Leonard quickly calmed down, believing that Dwayne Dantes would use a middler manner to avoid the dream investigation. He pulled over a chair and sat beside him. Albert, although he appeared like he was reading the papers without much thought, he was constantly watching him to prevent any accidents from happening. I wonder if Klein slips up by accident, and then when they entered his dream, they realize, oh, it's like, why does he have Klein's dream? 160 Buckland Street, inside the master bedroom, Klein suddenly woke up from his dream, aware that someone had come. Here we go. The investigation of the Nighthawks. As he mumbled, he surveyed the area and found himself in a half-open room. Following them, he heard knocks on the door. Come on in. Klein tried hard to make his voice sound like a dreamy murmur. The doorknob twisted as the door opened. A thinly built blonde man dressed in black trench coat walked in. It was none other than the red glove Albert. I'm a superintendent from the Backland Police Department. Albert casually showed proof of his identity and sat opposite to Klein. How may I help you, officer? Klein got into character. He knew that due to the influence of nightmare, he needed to appear normal. Albert conjured a stack of papers and began reading them softly. Dwayne Dantes, male, hails from Desi County. He repeated all the intelligence that he had been gathered and asked, is this set of information legitimate? Partially, but some of them are fake. Klein replied honestly, ooh, go get some sleep if you're tired? No, never. Will it be a big stream? I'm afraid I will not be able to stay less. No, I mean, no. Oh, for right now, no, you're good, D. No, it's okay. Partially, but some are fake, Klein replied honestly. The only partial truths are probably male and single. Meanwhile, he was making self-deprecating comments. Albert was pleased that he had made progress so quickly, and he asked with a deadpan expression, which of these are fake? Klein was already prepared for that as he pretended to recall. Most of my wealth doesn't come from mining, but from adventuring the southern continent. He fabricated a story from Anderson's description of West Ballum about how a commoner earned his wealth by relying on his eloquence, intel, experience, and guts in an area that conflict often happened between Lowen and Intas. The story was just considered very detailed. It was mainly an outline. The main goal was to make the Nighthawks believe that Dwayne Dantes wasn't a beyonder, but just an ordinary person with a sense of adventure and risk. Such stories of people getting rich were common in Lowen. Next chapter. All right, next chapter, chapter 765 is called Monday Again. After Klein was done, Albert asked a few targeted questions according to his recount to ensure that the details matched. Without a doubt, he obtained a satisfactory answer. Thank you for your cooperation. Have a great dream. Albert smiled as he got up and bowed. Then he uses his nightmare powers to influence Dwayne Dantes once again. It would make him have a vague recollection that he had such a dream when he woke up, but he wouldn't be able to recall the specifics. After doing all this, he turned to head up for the door, turned the doorknob, and left the dream. Indeed, the Nighthawks placed too much trust to the nightmare powers. If I were to be one of the leading investigation, I would definitely design a series of questions that attack the matter from different angles ahead of time and then do cross references to find any loopholes. The best method is to enlist Miss Justice help in creating a set of professional psychological questionnaires and get the target to finish in the dream. If he were faking something, the psychological state and the image he wishes to project would definitely show contradictions from different evaluations. This is unless he's also a psychological expert and can spot true goals of each set of questions. Klein leaned back in the sofa, cast his gaze out the window. In the darkness of the street lamps, glows appeared dim and pale, illuminating the surroundings in the gloomy silence. Klein silently observed for a few seconds before he curled his lips and gave a self-deprecating smile. And in the basement of St. Samuel Cathedral, Leonard's first heaved a sigh of relief after he saw Albert wake up normally and heard his report. He felt even more fearful of the undying monster in the fourth epoch. City of Silver, lightning streaked across the sky, illuminating every street. Derek Burke walked out of his house with the axe of hurricane in his possession as he headed for the twin towers that was north of the city. Along the way, he met several residents of the City of Silver. They were either busy sending their children for general education lessons or patrolling every corner in the groups. It was to prevent anyone from turning into an evil spirit after dying from an accident at home and being without any... Oh, my ears are popping. and being without a relative to end their lives. The existence of these people made the city of Silver appear lively, and from time to time, Derek could hear the laughter and cheers from little children. He couldn't help but recall the days in the afternoon town. The number of humans he met every day had numbered about 20, and most of the time they needed to stay in the garrison's buildings. Outside were monsters that lurked in the houses. Under the cloak of the darkness, there were eradicated again and again, but they would appear time and time again from unknown places. Every team member from the expedition felt a sense of helplessness towards this, as though there was no way of gaining true safety. They could never feel at ease when they needed to go all out at time. There was no chance for them to relax at all. No ordinary creature would wish to maintain such states in high stress and vigilance for prolonged periods of time. Therefore, in regards to that, the City of Silver had already developed a rotation system. It didn't take much time for the first expedition team to go for the afternoon town back to the City of Silver, but there was an unavoidable quarantine and relaxation period. It was only today that Derek had managed to adjust him to a mental state which had believed he could withstand the negative effects from advancing. He had previously reported to Chief Colin Ilya that he had attained a potion formula to notoriety, and he was allowed to use this discovery to exchange for the corresponding beyond ingredients. Feathers of a spirit-packed bird. As for the items he owed the moon, he had obtained them for patrolling afternoon town surroundings and had passed them to him with Mr. Fool's help. After advancing, I'll be qualified to select a mystical item from the non-high sequence beyonders. Derek felt a little expectant as he sped up his pace and arrived at the Twin Towers. Although the material warehouses and the mystical items were all in the spire where they were watching by the 6-member councils, Derek's goal was the steeple, because that was where he could exchange his contribution points for items. Just as he was about to enter the steeple, he felt his spiritual perception trigger. He subconsciously looked up at the spire, and he saw a woman. Oh, Shepherd Lovia. It has to be her. Yeah, it has to be her. She's probably watching him, dude. Just as he was about to enter the steeple, he felt his spiritual perception trigger. He was subconsciously looking up at the spire, and he saw a woman in black, purple patterned robes standing behind a window looking down at him. She had silver grayish hair, light gray eyes, and a beautiful face. Oh, it's her. She was none other than the one of the elder 6-member council, Shepherd Lovia. Yeah, it is called Twin Towers, right? That's trippy. No. She would... That's crazy. I remember watching that on the TV, man. I was like, whoa. I remember seeing that on the TV. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. She's not greeting me, but the person behind... Wait. I skipped a line. When their eyes met, Lovia's gaze seemed to penetrate his soul, but her expression remained the same. She even nodded slightly as though she was greeting him. She's not greeting me, but the person behind me. Suddenly, Derek came to realization. This was from the experience he slowly accumulated under the guidance of the Terror Club. He nodded in response as he retracted his gaze without any signs of abnormalities. He then unhurriedly entered the stipple. At night, in a private harbor in Bayham, the Golden Dream, with its strange main cannon in the middle, docked by the side of the harbor. That was my live easy reaction. That was probably my live reaction. Yeah, watching that live, and I was too young to like comprehend what was going on, man. But it's like seeing everybody's reactions. I'm like, oh shit, this is crazy. At night, in a private harbor in Bayham, the Golden Dream, with its strange main cannon in the middle, docked to the side of the harbor. The Knits carrier of the local specialties and the resistance had given him as he waved at them and beaming smile. What? Wait, I just skipped this whole part. When their eyes met, Lovia's gaze seemed to penetrate his soul, but her expression remained the same. She even nodded slightly as though she was greeting him. She's not greeting me, but the person behind me. Suddenly, Derek came to realization. This was from the experience he slowly accumulated under the guidance of the Terror Club. He nodded in response as he retracted his gaze without any sense of abnormality. He then unhurriedly entered the steeple. At night, in a private harbor in Bayham, the Golden Dream, with its strange main cannon in the middle, docked by the side of the harbor. The Knits carried the local specialties that the resistance had given him as he waved at them with a beaming smile while he headed up the gangway to the deck. He had been leading an extremely comfortable life in recent times as an envoy who sent arms, food, and small amounts of beyonder ingredients. He received quite good treatment. He either ate sumptuously or enjoyed himself hunting and bragging. He was even invited to watch the ritual in which the sea gods blessed his believers. After witnessing all of this, he suddenly came to a realization. Bayham, or perhaps all the colonies, would eventually embroil themselves into an intense conflict. It was something that wouldn't ease with decades or even centuries. No, you just read that? Well, it's like, I read it, but since I was commenting on what username said, I didn't like process it. So I was reading, but I wasn't reading. So I went back to actually read it, if that makes sense. Therefore, the Nits decided to sell most of his properties in Bayam, leaving behind only one piece of property. He then found a chance to buy properties in the Intis capital tier and the low-end capital backland, as well as extremely idealistic and peaceful villages. I can also take the opportunity to return to Elman Town and visit the old man and mom. Yes, I can buy Wellness House and then get the vineyard. The Nits waved passionately as he at the residence once again. He then puffed up his chest and said smugly to Flowery Bowtie Jotson, "Where's Captain? I need to report to her on the recent developments." Jotson Tiskin. Jotson was the Sea Scepter believer, right? The bald one? On the wheelchair? She's obviously in the captain's cabin. Meanwhile, he lampooned inwardly. This fellow is becoming more and more arrogant after establishing ties with the German Sparrow. However, the crazy adventurer is really terrifying. He's actually managed to hunt Admiral Blood. The Ned scoffed as he walked with a proactive gait and entered the captain, where he met Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwinas, leaving behind only one piece. I see what you did there. I understood that reference. Leaving behind only one piece. I'm still waiting for the One Piece remake, man. That's gonna be crazy. I saw like the template on how the episodes are, like what they're gonna cover. It's actually kind of wild, man, if they can pull that off. Captain, I've completed the mission. Details. Edwina put down the book in her hand and she asked. The Nitz was already prepared as he gave a detailed description of what had happened recently while extravagating his importance. When he was done, he said, "Captain, I met German Sparrow and he got me to ask you if there have been any abnormalities with Elvin Songster Sciatis' corpse in the golden wine cup." Edwina didn't answer him directly as he walked to the corner in the captain's cabin. Sitting there was a black wooden chest. The Golden Dream was setting sail for the Sonia Sea, so Sciatis and Mobet's remain. So Sciatis and Mobet's remains remain on the ship. They were stored by Edwina in a specially prepared chest. Bending one knee and Juneflecation, Edwina opened the wooden chest, allowing the interlocked remains to see the light of day. The mostly squashing golden wine cup was held silently in a bony palm without any abnormal signs. There were nothing abnormal. Edwina gave the conclusion. The Nitz shot a glance and memorized the answer, preparing to report this to the mighty fool once there wasn't anyone around, so that he could forward the message to the lunatic German Sparrow. One Piece? The One Piece? I'm excited for the One Piece remake. What is Cammy saying? No, you just read. No, and nothing abnormal. Above the great fog, Klein frowned silently, feeling a mixture of puzzlement and ease. According to his theory, there was a high chance that there was a problem with the golden cup. To have nothing abnormal happen to... Let me hold the mic right here. To have nothing abnormal happen to it had exceeded his expectations. However, he also liked the answer. This is because he didn't wish for Sciatis and Mobit's external slumber to be disturbed. Perhaps it needs other additional catalysts. Let's hope that never happens, Klein muttered to himself before casting his gaze onto the junk pile where Grizel Travels was. As he temporarily didn't have any intention of entering the sea of the collective subconscious, along with the recent focus of being the Antigonus family notebook, he had delayed his plans of searching for the book world a second time. Klein exhaled, retracted his gaze, and prepared for this week's tarot gathering. There in the 3 in the afternoon Backland time, dark red beams of light shot up along the two sides of the model table, materializing into different blurry figures. As usual, Audrey was in a good mood, or perhaps in a better mood than usual. This was because her brother, Hybrid Hall, had sent a telegram informing that her purchase of the Backland Bike Company 10% shares was completed for a total of they raised it to £12,000. Furthermore, she didn't need to rush back to Backland to sign any documents. Before Hybrid set off, she had signed a letter of authorization while under the witness of the two lawyers. All she needed to do now was wait for everything to be over before signing a letter of confirmation for her brother. Audrey curled up the corners of her lips as she stood up and said with a figure sitting at the end of the bronze table was concealing by the gray fog, "Good afternoon, Mr. Fool. May Mr. Fool bless me. I hope there will be clues to the fruits of the illusionary chime tree today." Immediately after that, she began praying in silence. After exchanging greetings and taking their seats, Katlia didn't let down Klein's expectations. Once again, she lowered her head without daring to look straight at him. See, now she's putting some respect on the fool, huh? After that last meeting, she got messed up, dude. Well, I mean, not the last one, but the last meeting. Mr. Fool, there are 3 pages of Emperor Rizzo's diary this time. Has the Queen Mystic still not found the clues to why Emperor Rizzo was assassinated? She's still providing diary pages through Ma'am Hermit. What a pity. I've recently been in the fief, and I haven't had much contact with the psychology alchemist. I can't even obtain the new diary pages, huh? I'll head over to Relic Search of Preservation Foundation after a few days to take a look. Perhaps they might have found something. Audrey listened in curiosity. The Fool Klein chuckled. Very good. You can consider your request. In fact, I know the Queen Mystic has already given you the question. I wonder what she's doing in Backline. Klein's mind started to wander. Soon, Leah conjured the 3 diary pages and handed it to Mr. Fool. Next page. Chapter 766, The Deities Anchor. Knowing that the diary pages specifically selected by Queen Mystic contained rather important information, the Fool Klein focused his attention and cast his eyes on the yellowish-brown goatskin in his hand. September 11th, ever since I became an angel, I've had the feeling that I've had my identity disassociated. In my heart, in my soul, and the depths of my mind, there's ultimately a voice urging me, influencing me, and creating an uncontrollable sense of coldness, bloodthirstiness, cruelty, and craziness. Oh, so he's starting to go a little crazy. This doesn't stem from the external world or the influences from a god of the same pathway. I can clearly sense that it comes from one's genes, the collective subconscious of humanity from generation after generation. It stems from the beyond characteristics itself and not from the remnant psychological influences. In his heart of hearts, I understood that reference. That is a deep cut Kingdom Hearts reference right there. With power comes madness. This is kind of scary. Now I'm actually scared for Klein and all the Terror Club members once they get to this point, man. This doesn't stem. Let me read this part again just so I can kind of digest it. Yes, this doesn't stem from the external world or influence from the gods of the same pathway. I can clearly sense that it comes from one's genes, the collective subconscious of humanity from generations after generation. It stems from the beyond characteristic itself and not from the remnants of the psychological influences. It makes me have a strong desire to hunt and kill. It makes me want to devour all living beings around me with the beyond characteristics. It requires me to spend a lot of effort to resist it. Even if I already acted and digested the potion, it doesn't seem to improve. Until I'm number 1. Oh yeah, EX finally got EXP. Wait, what does that mean? Is that what you guys were talking about earlier? The whole numbering EXP thing? So no matter what, even if he digests his potion, this still happens. Okay, let me find my place. It doesn't seem to improve. It's no wonder that Mr. Door said that rationality is temporary, but madness is eternal. Damn. Oh, that's not good. I don't like this foreshadowing. September 28th. I haven't written a diary entry in ages. In the past half month, I seem to see myself being replaced by a stranger. Bit by bit, I turn cold and terrifying. Even my daughter Bernadette can only allow me to show her minute amounts of fatherly love. Very, very tiny amounts. Oh, man. That's sad. Okay. But it's like scuffed, I think. Oh, it's scuffed, but it's working. Got it. Just as I was about to go mad, Whoa, what? Just as I was about to go mad? Just as I was about to go mad, I seemed to hear countless praises. They were from my subjects, people who had benefited from my reaffirmations. They are believers who view me as the son of steam. They praise me with great acclaim. They erected statues of me, write stories for me, and have created songs and poems for me. Their voices seem like ship's anchors that helped me secure myself in place. I began to have the ability to resist the desire that the roar within me. Bit by bit, I walked out of it as I once again possessed the normal feelings of father and a husband and a man. Such sequence 2 alone causes such changes. At sequence 0, at the level of a true god, how terrifying would it be to resist the madness? Perhaps they also need to anchor so as to resist the beyond characteristics and the strong inclination to lose control. The urges buried deep in the collective subconscious. I probably understand why they established the churches and why they want to spread their faith, to write the stories for their faction saints and leave legends for their corresponding angels. But why do they not have the anthropomorphic form other than symbols? I can't understand it. I can't understand it, bro. I try asking Mr. Door in the future. He seems to know a lot in regards to the domain of deities. If he had been released back then, there might very well be an additional deity today. madness is just your inner voice manifesting. It's kind of scary, dude. And like this is result only at sequence 2. Like he's not even 1 or 0 at this point, and he's already going crazy. I can't understand it. I'll try asking Mr. Door in the future. Oh wait, there would have been another deity today. September 29th, after reading yesterday's diary entries, I recall the corresponding ritual of my Sequence 4, Sequence 3, and Sequence 2. They clearly had hints of madness and cruelty akin to the kinds held by the antagonists in novels. Oh, man. That's kind of ironic. He kept calling himself the protagonist of this story, but he low-key... Oh, shit. What the fuck? He becomes the antagonist in the novels. The Undying, we know Roselle was planning to go the death pathway. Oh, no. The Black Emperor pathway, right? So, for all we know, he could come back at the end of this volume. Oh, like through the Black Emperor ritual where you can, like, revive yourself? Ooh, and then he becomes a true antagonist? Whoa, okay, hold up. A sequence pathway might very well be a path destined to be crazy and filled with despair. And this is the only path for humans to obtain extraordinary strength. How laughable and ironic it is. We strive to save ourselves only to better destroy ourselves. The first page's content left Klein's heart heavy and repressed. The Rizzo who had written those words were no longer an ordinary person, but someone who had become an angel, someone who had joined the Twilight Hermit Order, and someone who had seen the blasphemy slate. His understanding of the mysterious world and beyond characteristics far exceed him, but he was even more pessimistic than him. He seems to believe that the world's origins were innately warped, crazy, and destined for destruction. Bro, fire quote. I'm scared, man. This is sad, man. The one who called himself the protagonist was the antagonist all along. Result dropping quote after quote. Dude, I feel like maybe he's the one writing on the quill instead of well, like, what's it called when Ince loses control of writing? Maybe it's Roselle that's writing himself, man. If he's such a good writer, oh shit, what the fuck? It would be so fitting if Roselle is low-key the one writing on the quill the entire time when he lets go, right? When Instant Will lets go, right? And then it leads into the title of The Undying. Oh man, this is gonna be good. I'm excited to see who's the one that's actually writing. And who was the angel that was smiling looking at Klein. I'm crazy. I'm excited to see how this crazy puzzle connects back, you know? And I'm excited to like reread volume 1 or like see all the crazy foreshadowings. Oh man, it's gonna be so good. I'm excited to see all the crazy buildup and foreshadowing from like volume 1, man, that I still haven't been able to piece together. Like there has to be something written when he transmigrated for the first time in the beginning of the series that ties into something that I just haven't been able to piece together. Because when he fucking transmigrated in the Dunkwell, there's like all this red shit. There's like a red gem shattering. There's like there's like the red threads that's like pulling him, or the red tarps pulling him into him when he hears like a bell. I'm excited, dude. However, the 7 deities have apparently found a way to maintain their rationality. Ordinary humans aren't without any use. Their recognition and their spirituality put together can help a deity anchor their original imagination, retaining their memories and rationality that they had accumulated for years. This can be inferred from Roselle's own experiences. However, why would the 7 deities abandon their anthropomorphic image and use the sacred emblems as a form of ostration? This doesn't match my theories. I can't understand why. Klein didn't waste any time as he flipped to the next diary page. December 5th, night. Oh, wow. There was such a time gap here from September to December. December 5th, night of the blood moon, I conversed with Mr. Door. Okay, what are we going to find out? Like every time prior to this, he would always make a request to get me to help him return to the real world, but he doesn't overly insist on it. Furthermore, he would randomly answer some of my questions. It's like he is playing a game, trying hard to raise my affection towards him, but unfortunately, I'm sorry, I've already sealed off the option ahead of time. As I already knew the legends of the Kings of Angels, I mainly asked Mr. Door about the level of strength that the Kings of Angels have. Knowing the fact that I had nothing to lose by asking him the question, Mr. Door said that some of the Kings of Angels accommodated the uniqueness, while others had consumed 2 sets of Sequence 1 potions. It could also be both. The word accommodate is used in an odd manner. I had asked him about it, but Mr. Door didn't directly answer me. All he said was that if one was unable to accommodate the uniqueness, then the uniqueness was a burden instead of an aid to a Sequence 1 angel before they held the ritual and advanced to Sequence 0. All he said was that if one was unable to accommodate the uniqueness, like if you can't acclimate to it, or like if you can't fully utilize it, Brother Quill has living characteristics. I know, but I want to see who those like, or I want to know what like where those living characteristics stem from. Like where, like if it has living characteristics, is that like the Quill being independent of itself, or like did that living characteristic stem from something, right? Or like from the, like, you know, like if it's a sealed artifact, it had to have like been, it had to have come from someone, right? Like a sealed artifact, or like a beyond a characteristic. Like, oh, okay, I hit myself. Point is, I'm excited to know more about the Quill. Long story short, shit, it could. I lost my place. It was a burden as to aid the Sequence 1 angel before they held a ritual to advance the Sequence 0. It's understandable. It's akin to using a grade 0 sealed artifact. The negative effects are often terrifying, and the uniqueness must definitely be even more exaggerated. I also asked which King of Angels had accommodated their uniqueness, and similarly, Mr. Door didn't give a direct answer. He only said that Amon and Adam... Oh, shit, here we go. They're coming back. Amon and Adam make all the angels feel a sense of envy because they were born with a uniqueness that didn't need to consider the problem of accommodation. Oh, that's sick, dude. Oh, man. Amon and Adam are being so hyped up. Wait, is it known? I don't know what's known yet. Hold up. Big reveal? Hold up. Oh, shit, dude. Amon and Adam are definitely like two of the strongest characters in the entire series, huh? Oh, man. Cuttlefish is hyping them up, man. For good or bad. Because I don't know if... I still don't know if they're going to be good guys or bad guys. I don't know, man. I'm very conflicted. I don't know where to sway in this good or bad guy scenario. Amon and Adam make all the angels feel a sense of envy because they were born with a uniqueness that didn't need to consider the problem of accommodation. From another point of view, does this mean that Amon and Adam's state is equivalent to having consumed a Sequence 1 potion and the uniqueness as expected of the Creator's Son? Shit, dude. Man, this is gonna be sick, dude. The Creator, who's also known as the Ancient Sun God, was actually so powerful that he could pass on a uniqueness to each of his two sons. Whoa, we actually don't know about that. We've always been told that you can just pass on a sequence, like any sequence when you're like high sequence, but uniqueness, no. His glazing levels that scares us. I'm a little intimidated. He could pass on a uniqueness to each of his two sons, as well as the Sequence 1 Bionic characteristics. Was he trying to purify himself to eliminate an unneeded interference? Then does Mr. Door also accommodate the uniqueness and also possibly have even consumed two Sequence 1 potions? I didn't ask because I knew he definitely wouldn't answer me. During the conversation, Mr. Door warned me not to directly say out Adam's full name. What the fuck is his full name? Otherwise, it would be detected and the conversation would be discovered. Oh, just like you can't say Twilight Hermit Order, or that you can't even write down. I had an inkling why I was laughably asking him that he... Well, let me lower the music. Now that we lower the volume, I can like concentrate a little bit better. I asked another few questions regarding the deity, but Mr. Door didn't answer. All he said was that when I had the ability and opportunity, I could head above the moon to take a look. I would then understand many things. Wait, let me reread the last part. Mr. Door said it didn't matter. This is because the Apprentice Pathway Sequence 4 is called Secrets Sorcerer. Mr. Door said as it didn't matter. This is because the Apprentice Pathway Sequence 4 is called Secrets Sorcerer. That is new. It has the meaning of maintaining secrecy, and although it's inferior to the Servant of Concealment of the Evernight Pathway. Oh, wait, what? Servant of Concealment. I forgot it was called that, if that's what Sequence 4 is. Servant of Concealment of the Evernight Pathway. It's enough for him to block any detection at his level. I asked another few questions regarding the deities, but Mr. Door didn't answer. All he said was that when I had the ability and opportunity, I could head above the moon to take a look. I would then understand many things. This is somewhat in line with something of my previous thoughts, but I'm suspecting if he is luring me there to get a chance to return to the real world. After all, his appearance each time is related to the moon. He's related to the moon? As long as Mr. Door appears, there will be plenty of information, usually concerning an entire page. His explanations of level of strength that Kings of Angels have does match my theories. The generalization meaning that the King of Angels Simplicity refers to a quasi-deity who exceeds sequence 1 by using a variety of means, but they have yet to reach the level of a sequence 0. So they have yet to reach true God. This includes accommodating the uniqueness or consuming additional sequence 1 potions. The simplified meaning of King of Angels will point out to the creator who the City of Silver worships. The 8 kings of all angels are all ruled by the ancient sun god. Of course, they must also fulfill the general definition. Thoughts rapidly flash through Klein's mind. As for Rozelle's theory about the ancient sun god, he was in a strong agreement. He believed that the creator who had the City of Silver worshipped had reclaimed too many authorities of the ancient god, causing him to show signs of chaos and instantly hence. He decisively gave birth to 2 sons to eliminate a portion of the waste. Wait, what? Oh, this is why Forest goes above the Grey Fog during the Red Moon. I was just going based off Easy's reaction, LMAO. To put it simply, Amon and Adam are freebies that come from drinking potions. From the looks of it, Angel of Imagination Adam clearly possesses the uniqueness of the spectator pathway. He is likely the mysterious leader of the Twilight Hermit Order. Whoa, what, brother, chill, what? That's new knowledge. He is likely the mysterious leader of the Twilight Hermit Order. Since ancient times, he has been interfering with the direction of times in order to revive his father. I wonder if he has advanced to sequence 0, even if he hasn't. The number of angels the Twilight Hermit Order can mobilize probably exceeds my imagination. Oh, Secretary Sorcerer actually has the meaning of keeping secrets as well as the implications of concealment. Client instantly recalled the symbol on the back of the fool's chair. Whoa, 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 whoa. You're going to head out, D? No, it's okay, man. Yo, get some rest, dude. Don't worry. We'll have the video up right away. Client instantly recalled the symbol on the back of the fool's chair. It was a pupilless eye, a symbol representing secrecy, and the contorted lines that represented change. He quickly reined in his thoughts and flipped to the third diary page. November 28th. I dreamed of Grim again. Grim? He was the smartest among my subordinates, but unfortunately he died in the fog sea due to some unknown infection while exposing the Nameless Island. He didn't even leave a child behind. Back then I knew the Nameless Island hid secrets of the unimaginable danger, but due to my lack of strength, all I could do was hold back. The dream this time is likely a result of my spirituality reminding me that I can explore the island grasps in secret and contemplatively resolved Grimm's matters. November 29th, I summoned 3 subordinates, and with Benjamin Abraham's help and some searching, I finally found the Nameless Island again. I didn't directly enter, and I decided to rest for a day along its periphery. Edward said that he also often dreams of Grimm, feeling a deep sense of guilt for not having and managing to save him back then. This is not your responsibility, but my problem. This was what I said to Edwards because I'm the leader. November 30th. We ventured deep into the island. Okay, we're on the island. Existing here were beyond creatures that large sources of data claim that they have gone extinct. They gathered there without any conflict as though they were concentrating. Wait, what? Whoa. Let me back it up. Existing here were beyond creatures that large sources of data claim that they had gone extinct. They gathered there without any conflict as though they were consecrating something. This bunch of beyond creatures without any intelligence appeared to be holding some ritual. They were praying to an unknown deity. In the ritual, I saw Grimm. What? Okay, next chapter. All right, but next chapter for now. Chapter 767. Passing a message. Sorry, I think the audio spiked right there. Grimm, who got infected on the Nameless Island, was undeniably deceased, appeared once again on the Nameless Island. Emperor, when did you start writing horror stories? Also, where's the rest? Klein's gaze froze onto the last line of the third diary page as he discovered that there wasn't any new information. Apart from that, he was similarly alarmed by Emperor Rozelle's description of the beyond creature's strange gatherings and the worshipping of an unknown entity. One had to understand that not all beyond creatures had intelligence and couldn't be communicated with. Many of them were monsters who had lost control or had madness as an innate property. And these monsters that had also lost control were gathered together, worshipping some unknown existence. Unfortunately, the Emperor didn't leave behind the coordinates of the Nameless Island. However, even if he had recorded it, I wouldn't dare to head over for fear of any infection. If I were to die only to be revived on the island, that would be troublesome. I'll need to be at least a sequence 4 or even a sequence 3 before I'll have what it takes to explore it. As Klein thought, he made the diary in his hand vanish. He then turned to look at Katlia and asked with a smile, "What's your request?" Katlia asked without even thinking, "Honorable Mr. Fool, I wish to know if Emperor Rizal once participated in the very secretive and very ancient organization. Very secretive and very ancient Twilight Hermit Order. Emperor Rizal used to be a member of it." Audrey suddenly recalled Mr. Fool's previous mentions of that organization. After recalling the corresponding matter and remembered that it was Miss Trust's description of the Desire Apostle case in Backland, there was a mysterious organization mentioned back then. Mr. Fool had told members not to say the organization's name in the outside world because any mention of it will be known. Such an organization does match Emperor Rizal's status. Algar nodded inwardly. As for Klein, he thought something else. Queen Mystic's choice of the diary pages are vague. She isn't able to accurately and precisely ask questions based on its content. It also means that she roughly knows the diary pages from certain periods and very important with key information within them, or she is able to discern Rizal's emotions from when it was written. As for Ma'am Hermit's question, it didn't possess any problems for Klein. He smiled and said yes. At the same time, he silently warned himself, in the future, I need to be careful that Queen Mystic's questions might be completely unrelated to the diary pages she hands over. Thankfully, I've read quite a number of Rizal's diaries, and I have quite a good understanding of the Emperor. After saying that, he added and said with a smile, "It's your turn." He didn't directly mention Twilight Hermit Order, wishing that he could answer another question based on the topic in the future. Katlia bowed and expressed her gratitude before looking at the magician. "I wish to obtain clues regarding the direct descendants of the Abraham family. 1,000 pounds. Ooh. She had no psychological burden when it came to offering a price, as Queen Mystic could definitely provide compensation for her. "Why did you directly look at me? She already knows that my teacher is a member of the Abraham family." Forrest was first alarmed before realizing that it was nothing surprising. This is because this matter wasn't a secret to the other members of the Terror Club apart from Ma'am Hermit. It was very normal for them to mention it after completing a transaction with her. Although 1,000 pounds was very attractive, Forrest didn't plan on selling information on her teacher, and all her life there were only a handful of people who had been truly sincere to her. Therefore, she cherished such relationships. Good for her. After some deliberation, Forrest asked, "Why are you looking for them? If you can provide a reason, I can pass the message. As for further developments, it will depend on them. I have no say on the matters." Indeed, she might appear ordinary, but she actually conceals many secrets. She's a lady who's cautious and meticulous. Katlia signed inwardly, and she said with a nod, "That's very reasonable. I'm searching for the direct descendants of the Abraham family in hopes of obtaining information on Mr. Door. Pass this message to them and see if there's a chance of cooperating. Well, just for passing on my message, I'll pay you 350 pounds. If they're willing to take up the matter, I'll pay another 650 pounds. Damn, that's a lot of money." Forrest held back for a full second before answering deal. After saying that, she came to the realization that the hidden meaning behind Ma'am Hermit's words. Hidden meaning? What is it? "Mr. Door is related to Abraham family." "That's right. My bracelet came from Ma'am Olisa, and it came from the Abraham family. Yes, teacher still doesn't know that I'm aware of her. He's part of the Abraham family." "That's true. He doesn't know that yet. She's still hiding that part. I can only casually mention it in my letters as someone was searching for the direct descendants of the Abraham family at a particular gathering, and that it has something to do with Mr. Door. I wonder what kind of reaction teacher will have." At this point, Miss Justice was happy for her friend, sensing that her friend had escaped the predicament of being broke. Forrest... She's like, she made it out. Forrest is already at sequence 7. She almost caught up to me. I have to become a hypnotist as soon as possible. As she had such thoughts, she glanced at her Terror Club's members, wishing that she had clues to the fruits of the illusionary chime tree. Miss Jess's gaze really makes it hard to say no. Forrest lowered her head in embarrassment. This is because she had yet to obtain any clues regarding the fruit of the illusionary chime tree in circles. Not really. I was going to take like 20 minutes. Anything happened that's worth back? Not too much. I mean, we're still in the Terror Club meeting. Miss Jess's gaze really makes it hard to say. Forrest lowered her head in embarrassment. This was because she had yet to obtain any clues regarding the fruit of the illusionary chime tree in her circles. Audrey glad Forrest made it out of the hood. She's like, I'm so proud of my friend. And you know what's crazy? Forrest still hasn't figured out that she's Audrey. That's the cool part. Audrey knows who she is, but Forrest doesn't know who she is. Sitting across from Audrey, Olger thought for 2 seconds and said, "I have clues, but it will take 2 weeks before I can obtain it." How he did have clues, as a long time ago he had discovered an illusionary chime tree when he entered the primitive island with Quillingus, but due to his lacking strength, he didn't attempt to approach it, and now he had the chance of advancing to sequence 5. He naturally didn't want to give up any opportunities for making money. After all, he still owed Admiral Stars the information of the obelisks As for why he was mentioning it now, in a sense, it was to declare his rights. When the time came, he and the world would explore together. It was best to decide the splitting of the spoils ahead of time to prevent any conflict. Of course, when dealing with the illusionary chime tree, it was likely that German Sparrow would idly stand at the side of the trees without rendering any assistance. No problem. Audrey was delighted, and she didn't even ask for a price. She was already beginning to consider finding an excuse or a reason to directly buy it from the psychology alchemists. After returning to Buckland in June, with the transactions coming to an end due to none of the other members having any requests of the time being, Cattleya repeated her search for the blood of the mythical creature, and Emlyn once again mentioned that he was searching for the remains for believers of the primordial moon. Then the Terra Gathering entered the free exchange segments. Derek very naturally said, "I've already become a notary. You don't have to tell us that." The hanged man had the urge to facepalm, but he replied with calm voice, "Although a notary will receive a massive boost in one's physical attributes, it still has more of a support role. If the notarization of power is valid, you'll have them temporarily enhanced. If the notarization is valid, the Beyonder powers will be forcibly dispersed. At the same time, a notary is good at creating contracts. Once a signature is provided as confirmation, even a sequence 5 cannot violate it." Like, you can't violate the contract. Even if a sequence 4 demigod tries to forcefully violate the contract, they will have to pay quite a price. As a member of the Church of Storms, it was one of the basics for him to know the strengths and the weaknesses of the Sun pathway. Therefore, Olgar carefully explained the exact situation for Little Sun. He also reminded him to select a mystical item that was good at controlling a target. If there wasn't any, it was best to select something with a powerful offensive strength. "Thank you, Mr. Hangman." Derek thanked him from the bottom of his heart. Deep down in the entire Tarek club, he felt the greatest and most respectable person was Mr. Fool, and most impressive person to strive for was a role model with Mr. World, and the most reliable and kind person was none other than the wise Mr. Hangman. Towards this, Emlyn thought, "This fellow has actually caught up to me. No, I can't be surpassed by him. I need to complete the hunting competition as soon as possible to get the rewards." He contemplated for a few seconds, and after receiving Mr. Fool's permission, he conjured a thin moon puppet and resembled a wooden pole. "Ladies and gentlemen, does any of you know what this is?" He knew that Mr. Fool was definitely aware of the answer, but he temporarily didn't have anything he could use for an equal exchange with this mighty existence. Therefore, he could only rely on the other members of the Terry Club for any answers. "Isn't this the puppet I saw at the gathering?" Mr. Moon already found his target. Force similarly waited for others to give an answer out of curiosity. Cattleya carefully observed it before frowning. "It's likely a moon envoy." Emlyn, rivalry with Derek is fake. I know, I love it. Now Emlyn's like, I gotta one up him. I can't let him catch up to me. "Ladies and gentlemen, does any one of you know what this is?" And she said, "It's what? It's like, so it's not a moon puppet. It's a moon envoy? It's a Beyonder item that the primordial moon believers create by using a bloody ritual that spans centuries." Oh, we know this. It spans centuries. "It's said to be imbued with divine powers. Each one of them possesses an unimaginable horror. Where did you obtain it from? It's very dangerous. It's best that you hand it over to the upper echelons of the Sungwen." Emlyn changed his sitting posture and chuckled. "I encountered it when hunting the primordial moon believer. She's already dead while I'm still alive." Damn, what a badass. Sun versus Moon. I love their little rivalry already. Sun versus Moon. It's like they're very polar opposites. Mr. Moon's flaunting on himself is really obvious. The Sinor spectator Audrey chuckled inwardly. Cattleya was taken aback. Without deliberately hiding anything, she asked, "How did you do it? Did the upper echelons of Sanguine provide you with assistance?" Emlyn gaped, somewhat at a loss for words. Only then did he realize that this topic was unsuitable for a deeper discussion. Ahem. He cleared his throat and looked towards the end of the long brown table. "I sought help from Mr. Fool." That's funny. Oh, he's number... Oh, it switches. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I almost hit... But chapter 768 is called Conversation Between Smart People. Okay, this is going to be a high intellectual conversation. Sought help from Mr. Fool. You can do that. Cattleya was stunned by what she heard. Having been punished and discovering that his blessed German Sparrow was becoming more and more impressive, she no longer had any doubts regarding Mr. Fool's status or abilities. She even knew that when Mr. Fool pulled her in through the use of an ancient item, allowing her to escape the pursuit of knowledge, she had come to realize that he was in existence at least at the level of the hidden stage or primordial moon. However, for certain reasons, he wasn't able to interfere with the real world, making her suspect him to be an ancient god that was undergoing an awakening process. That's exactly what Olger's thinking. The moon's words left her surprised. Mr. Fool was able to provide substantial help from the Terry Club members and wasn't just someone who could only provide knowledge or pull them above the gray fog. On the other hand, this means that in times of dangers, I can also pray directly to Mr. Fu for help. This is more ridiculous than any ritual. On the other hand, it reveals the fact that Mr. Fu's recovery process is faster than I had imagined. Many thoughts instantly flashed through Kat Leah's mind. Audrey, Derek, and company weren't that surprised. They had more or less sought Mr. Fu's help in the past, and they had even witnessed the angel under this great existence. Seeing everyone's gaze fall on him, Emlyn shrank his neck as he lifted his chin. I paid a price. It was a fair and equal exchange. Fair and equal exchange, a minded existence, immediately and effective response is priceless. Ketley couldn't help but retort inwardly. She didn't directly say it because she too wished to use this opportunity of such a fair and equal exchange in the future. It would imply that she would have an additional life compared to others. Forrest was quite puzzled by Mr. Moon's deliberate emphasis on the principle fair and equal exchange. Everyone had sought Mr. Fool's help, had made a corresponding payment. Mr. Moon sure is a man who cares about his reputation. No way sanguine. Audrey seriously evaluated Emily's emotions change that happened over a span of a second. As the exchange continued, the terror gathering slowly came to an end. After returning to the City of Silver, Derek first recalled a notary strength and weakness mentioned by Mr. Hangman. Then he once again headed for the Twin Towers that was north of the city to select a mystical item. He didn't do this before because his condition wasn't stable after advancing. He was worried that making contact with a mystical item would lead him to losing control. That's not going to happen. Not on me, man. Salted crackers are a goated reading snack. Hey, you know what, man? It's pretty good. It's getting me more thirsty, but you know what? It's good. Inside the spire, Derek Berg listened to his requirements. After finishing paperwork, he saw a filtered list of items obtained, the corresponding documents that contained the information. After having a careful read and an observation period, he quickly narrowed down the choice to two. The first was Cardi's ring. It was an ancient and simple in appearance, and it was completely iron black in color. It was engraved with dark and complicated patterns. It was left behind by a resident of the City of Silver a long time ago. It could aid the wearer in a wing a target, causing them to stop. It could also make ordinary humans temporarily lose their reason, or it could awaken their hidden emotions and memories of a crazy monster, allowing them to enter a brief period of confusion in which they wouldn't deliver any attacks. The other item was a Thunder God's Roar. It was obtained from a city that was in ruins. It was rather heavy and resembled a sledgehammer. I feel like he goes for the sledgehammer. And then he can switch from his sword and his sledgehammer. It was dark blue in color, while silver lightning swirled around it. Holding its handle felt like holding a leg bone or a creature. He's going to go for the sledgehammer. It could produce sounds that left the enemy in fear and chaos while in combat, as though a thunder god had descended. Yeah, thunder god. Yeah, he's going to go for this. Thunder god had descended upon the ground, and he kept roaring. Every strike brought with a potent destructive with no lack of terrifying lightning. The negative effects of the Cardi's rings was that the wearer would unknowingly produce another self. Therefore, one needed to periodically receive a treatment from a psyche and analyst. If there were any mistreatments, then it could result in an aggravation of the problem, making it harder to treat, and eventually the two selves would enter a fight, ultimately leading to losing control. In contrast, Thunder God's Roar didn't have the many latent risks. Okay, see, that's why we go for it. It would only make the user be a little irascible bit by bit, as long as one periodically vented their emotions. There were emotions. There wouldn't be a problem. However, it also had another side effect. In a completely dark environment, the chances of being attacked by terrifying monsters from the depths of the darkness was 100%. The chances of being attacked is 100%. Upon seeing this number, Derek turned gloomy. This meant that the City of Silver residents had vanished because of this reason. They were the former owner. Whoa, what? They were the former owners of the Thunder God Roar? Which should I choose? Now this sounds kind of dangerous. Which should I choose? Generating another self is terrifying. Miss Justice had mentioned before that it was called dissociative identity disorder. It's not going to be good. Thunder God's Roar not only has a power that affects the enemy state, but it also has a rather powerful offensive capability. My Axa Hurricane has been used too many times, so it will likely be damaged ahead of time. Ooh, so he's going to switch it out. I can produce light by myself, so I don't have to be worried about absolute darkness. Derek thought for a moment and pointed at the dark blue sledgehammer. I want the Thunder God Roar. Oh, that's such a badass choice. No, we're already switching back to Klein. All right, I can't complain. 160 Buckland Street. Klein walked out of his master bedroom and saw Butler Walter waiting for him with a few invitation letters in hand. Sir, there was a total of 3 invitations this week. There's an afternoon tea session. Ooh, tea time. tea session on Wednesday, a literary salon, I read that wrong, on Friday, and a banquet on Saturday. Damn, he's busy. And a banquet on Saturday they were sent from. Client listened with a warm expression before saying with a smile, tell these friendly inviters that I'll be participating. All right, sir. Walter bowed and left the third store. Seeing the figure disappear from the stairwell, Klein couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Such a funny that was such a funny emote we made, man. Thank you guys for helping me pick that out. After another week of such invitations, it will be my turn to invite my neighbors for a banquet or a ball. By repeating this act of inviting others and being invited, I'll really enter the circles and would be recommended by them to important figures at even higher levels. I'll be able to enter different clubs. Such recommendations are definitely established at the foundation of having sufficient wealth. A person without any value wouldn't be recommended. Socializing for a high society is truly troublesome. It'll take at least another month before I'll get to make contact with the people who were slightly involved in the great smog of Backland. The church is easier as long as there's enough donations and enough poisonous. I'll be able to freely enter and exit to listen to the bishop's preaches. Of course, that's on the premise that I passed the investigation. If everything goes well, I'll be able to figure out the rotation schedule of the keepers and find a chance to go behind Channa's gate. Klein reined in his thoughts as he instructed his valet Richardson to bring his coat, hat, and cane. According to schedule, he was to head to the Royal Guard Theatre to see the most popular play, The Betrayer's Ring, in recent times. Foreshadowing, this isn't solely for entertainment. It's understand the popular plays, famous music, and trending novels. Only then could he have a common topic of conversation in the various high society gatherings. Being a popular gentleman must be tiring. Let me lower the volume. Behind a 1-minute performance lies 10 years of hard work. Social gatherings such as these are really exhausting. As Klein lampooned, he allowed Richardson to help him wear a coat before he sat on the high-end four-wheeled carriage. He headed for the Royal Garson Theatre in the Westboro, where he had a luxurious box to himself, and he watched The Betrayer's Rings. It's different from television and movies. A play acting is more extravagant and impactful. Yes, this is determined by the acting environment. The story isn't bad, but why does it seem familiar? Don't tell me it's a story adapted from the Emperor Rizzo's works. Oh, it is? All right, tea time. There are likely famous play actors. The papers have mentioned them before. It's said that they're very popular like celebrities on Earth during the age of the internet. As long as I participate in the gatherings of high society, I'll definitely have the opportunity of meeting them. As Klein watched the plane, he habitually lampooned Italy. Sherwood Boron, the ticket booth of a large theater, Melissa, who finally had her turn, pushed the notes and coined through the both windows as they said, The Betrayer's Rings, 2 tickets, 3 p.m. on Sunday. After watching The Betrayer Ring, Klein sat in the carriage as he sipped a cup of black tea and received the evening papers that Richardson had purchased. He first flipped through the play critic columns and he found the comments for some professional critics. He compared their reviews to his own, and he gradually formulated a unique and profound experience. Yet, at the very least, it's enough to fool those ladies and gentlemen. After Klein finished his homework, he leisurely read the papers and was surprised to find a piece of news. The Backland Bike Company 10% shares have been sold. Further inquiries won't be entertained. It's done by pushing this piece of news. It means Mr. Isengard had already received the money. Klein was first deliberated before he frowned slightly. His gaze landed on exclaimed marks at the end. The information was indeed what he and Isengard Stanton had agreed upon ahead of time, but he found exclamation marks was rather harsh on the eyes. Such a statement doesn't need an exclamation mark. Mr. Isengard Stanton is a person who pays attention to details. He wouldn't give the paper free rein. He deliberately left the exclamation to pass a message. He's giving a warning. While pondering, Klein suddenly realized something. How is that a warning? The 10% shares which Isengard Stanton sold are obviously from Sherlock Moriarty. With the former's characters, he wouldn't sell it for no reason. In a certain sense, this means that Sherlock Moriarty or his proxy had returned to Backland. Therefore, one of the factions of the royal family that was involved in the great smog of Backland had... How does he piece that together? Damn, what a good detective. Therefore, one of the factions of the royal family was involved with the great smog of Backland had accurately noticed the situation and had begun monitoring Detective Isengard Stanton, hoping to capture the person who heads over to claim the cash. How should I get the money? Klein seemed to naturally read the newspapers as he began seriously considering the pertinent question. How? They are so smart in this series, man. Oh my goodness. Holy Lords of Storms. They are so smart, man. I wouldn't even be able to piece that together. I'd be like, okay, let's just go pick up the money. All right. Next chapter. This is going to be the last chapter for the stream before we go hit the gym. And get ready, because we have 1 year to prepare for our spicy Very spicy. Lord of the Mysteries cosplays 1 year from now. We're gonna have, you guys are gonna have to help me. We'll do like a spicy summer wear Olger one. I've seen that artwork. He's like in his summer attire, he's fucking shirtless. We're gonna pull that one. We might do that one day. We'll do a clown one day. We're gonna do a buff Audrey one day, and then we're gonna do a clown one day. I think that's gonna be 4 spicy. Maybe a shirtless clown. I don't know. We got 1 year to prepare. But chapter 769. That's gonna sound so random out of nowhere because I've been pausing and recording it. Like, well, where did that come from? But chapter 769. Nice. It's called Sacrifice. Oh, shut up. It's called Sacrificing to Oneself. 10 at night. Backland was drizzling again as a thin fog produced a blurry sense of beauty amidst the street lamps. Isengard Stanton's assistant Bowen surveyed the bottom level once before walking to the side of the oriel window and was prepared to shut the final window. At that moment, a shadow scuttered in and landed firmly on the protruding wall. It was a blue, short, furred stray cat. Ooh, it's a blue cat. Oh, come on now, man. I just landed right now, and I can't watch you. You're about to end. Oh, you just landed, Bullseye? Oh, that's crazy. I just got back yesterday. Nice, but nice from 2B Hero X. But nice. Ooh, that could work. At that moment, a shadow scuffed in the land and firmly protruding wall. It was a blue, short, furred stray cat. Bosun saw the large pair of yellow eyes looking at him as he couldn't help but chuckle. There's no food here. As detective works made him prone to revenge, and him having many secrets to hide, Isengard Stanton's cook servants were paid by the hour. There was a fixed number of hours a day, and they wouldn't prepare too much food. This made it difficult for there to be any leftovers after dinner. The blue cat opened its mouth but didn't produce any mewing sounds. It began speaking like a human. I'm Sherlock Moriarty. Oh, it's his messenger. I'm Sherlock Moriarty. I'm here to meet Mr. Isengard Stanton. Although Bosun was a Beyonder who was nurtured by the Church of the Gods of Knowledge and Wisdom, he was a low-sequence Beyonder and his horizons were stilted. This was the first time he was encountering a speaking cat, so he was momentarily shocked and dazed. After a few seconds, he came to his senses and recalled what the cat had just said. It said it's Sherlock Moriarty. This great detective really isn't simple. And not, I guess not. He actually changed into cat, no controlling a cat. Such powers are really strange and terrifying. Bowen rapidly calmed down and didn't directly answer the cat. He reached out to close the windows. After doing all of this, he said it in a suppressed voice, "Follow me." The cat immediately leaped from the platform behind the oriel window as it agilely followed behind Bosun with its tail up. It followed him all the way to the second story and watched him knock on Isengard Stanton's bedroom door. Is there something Isengard, who was dressed in pajamas, was with faint lines? I'm reading that so wrong, I'm sorry. Opened the door and asked. He was just enjoying his tobacco before sleeping. Bosun cautiously pointed to the crouched blue cat beside him. Mr. Sherlock Moriarty is looking for you. Isengard, with his white sideburns and his thin face, raised his brows slightly and looked down. He took 2 steps back, allowed the blue cat to saunter into his bedroom. Return to your room and get some sleep. Wake up as per normal tomorrow. We still have a chase awaiting us. Isengard instructed Bosun as though nothing had happened. After his assistant left him, he closed the door and turned to look at the blue cat who was sitting beside the reclining chair. He chuckled. I never expected you to have such beyond powers. I was worried you would directly come over. I noticed your exclamation mark, the cat said with a smile. It had to be said that having such an expression shown on a cat's face was rather odd. I'm sorry, are we reading Elicete or what's going on here? Brother, slow down. The gap is below 200. No. Never, man. We've been touching grass for too long. It left anyone who witnessed it feel a chill run down their back. Isengard didn't react abnormally towards that as he said at his pipe, sat on a reclining chair and slowly exhaled the comfort. He said with a smile, I trust your intelligence. Thank you for your compliments. The cat politely reached out of its paws and bowed. I really feel like I'm reading Elicete. Look at that. Now the cat's speaking to Isengard. Isengard it's like we're reading, it's pretty funny. It's like Klein is Caden in this situation. Isengard observed it and rubbed its pipe while smiling. You should have understood what is happening. Those people don't dare to monitor me too strictly, afraid that I would discover them and end up telling the Church of the Evernight and the Church of Steam. So even though it would be quite troublesome for them if they get exposed, I believe that they have a demigod among them. This is a deduction and is also based on certain feedbacks. After all, I've lived on the streets for years. Oh, F yeah? Hell yeah. A Zik and Klein with Wiz and Easy? I think we can pull that off. Yo, Wiz, you got to go to Anime Expo next year, man. We got 1 year. We got to make it work, man. That'll be really fun. Therefore, humans and animals wouldn't be stopped from entering my house. I believe you've already figured it out. But when leaving, you'll definitely be tailed and tracked. Do you have the means to evade their tracking? Huh? The sum of money isn't a small one. Bringing it out would be quite conspicuous. Let me think. Were you planning on confirming with me in order to get me to deposit the money into a particular bank account, and then you'll find many people to withdraw them in different parts of Backland? Upon saying that, Isengard said with a with a self-deprecating smile. This is the best solution I can think of, but carrying it out would be extremely troublesome. The cat didn't give a direct response as it gave a deep chuckle. I only need you to lend me an empty room and 3 candles. No problems. Isengard didn't press the issue as he said. The shares were sold for £12,000. The buyer is the daughter of Earl Hall Audrey, while the hiring of lawyers and accountants as well as the publishing of the advertisements cost a total of £600. In addition, there is a 0.5 stamp duty and 20% D taxes. Oh, I don't get this. We can work something out, I'm sure. Bet. D taxes, D type taxes. I don't know my taxes, man. So at the end of the day, there's only £8,940 left. D tax types were a tax of commercial, financial, and specialized income. There's tax more than £2,000 are gone just like that. The cat's expression instantly froze. He's like, "Fuck, man, what was all that for?" The cat's expression instantly froze. Klein was formerly a Nighthawk and his salary was tax-free. Oh, you're right. It was tax-free when he started. Later, as a private detective, his income was difficult to be monitored, so he never declared his income for tax purposes. Later, he became an adventurer, and since the bounties targeted at pirates enjoyed concessions, there was no need for him to pay taxes on them. He's been avoiding taxes all this time. That is crazy. Good for him. Now he gets to pay his taxes. Now you get to suffer like all of us. Hence, he never realized that tax was something he needed to pay. Therefore, back when Isengard Stanton had mentioned taxes, he hadn't taken it to his heart, believing that it wouldn't be much. However, reality had given him a heavy beating. As for, man, he's lost so much. As for why there weren't any taxes for the share transaction the previous time, taxes were waived by the Lowen government for initial investments related to inventions as a way to foster inventions. After a brief silence, the cat's whiskers moved as it was. All right, give me the cash and move it to the empty room. There's no problems with the money, right? I've already checked for them. They wouldn't do any cheap tricks on that, as it would be an insult to my intelligence. Isengard stood up with his pipe. Remember to send me a signal letter and confirmation by mail. Letter. It's already on its own. The cat replied, prepared. Isengard walked to the safe inside the master bedroom using a passcode and key to open it. Then he took out stacks of cash and he stuffed them into different briefcases. Following that, he left the master bedroom with these briefcases and entered a guest room diagonally opposite of the master bedroom. Check it out. Isengard placed the briefcases filled with cash on ground as he said to the cat that followed him in. I trust you, the cat said after taking a few glances. Isengard nodded and pointed to the cabinet. There are candles inside. Always avoid. With that said, he left the door, held the doorknob and said with a smile, I'm really curious how you would leave. I believe it will be a very exciting magic show. Isengard Stanton closed the door with a click, leaving the guest bedroom silent and bleak. As the cat sighed, a figure dressed in a dark red coat and the old triangular had appeared. It was none other than Klein's marionette, Rafe Sinor. He found the candles and quickly set up a similar altar. Skipping over many of the few steps, he directly muttered in Elvish, bless of the sea and the spirit world, guardian of the roasted archipelago, ruler of the undersea creatures, master of the tsunamis and storms, the great Kalvatua. As I'm saying that, the music is way too low. Let me raise it. Of the great Kalvatua, you devoted servants, pray for your attention. I pray for you to take his offerings. I pray for you to open the gates to your kingdom. The wind inside the wall of spirituality suddenly glue and intensely as Sinor quickly sliced off the back of his hand, threw out a few drops of blood. Ooh. As he sequenced 5 Rafe, everything on him was material that was rich in spirituality. The strong wind sucked up the blood, howling as it drilled into the candle flames that symbolized sea god Kalvatua. The flames burgeoned, forming an illusionary door filled with magic labels and symbols. After about 10 seconds, the door let out a heavy creak as it slowly opened. One by one, Sinor lifted up the briefcase filled with money and threw them into the illusionary door. When there was almost none left, the golden coin he stored in his body flew out and landed on the altar. The Rafe's figure then disappeared, projecting onto the smooth side of the gold coin. The gold coin trembled as it flew up, hitched a ride in the briefcase ahead of it, and entered the illusionary door of the sacrifice. Silently, the mysterious door closed as 3 candlelights were restored to normal. At this moment, the blue short-furred cat seemed to recover its senses. It looked around blankly as it mewed. After a few seconds, Isengard opened the door and entered, finding all the briefcase with the cash gone. There were only 3 candles burning silently as the blue short-furred cat was warily arching its back at him. While he scrutinized the scene, a rental carriage slowly drove past on the fork on the other end of the street. On the same night, in a building inside Sherwood Borough, Shio returned home under the drizzle. As she wiped her hair with a towel, she said to Forrest, your letters have been mailed. Forrest tearfully answered as she began to guess when her teacher would respond. At this moment, Shio put down the towel and quipped, there's news about Mr. X gathering. It still has to be the same place on Friday night. Great, I can tell Mr. World. I wonder how much I'll need to pay. Forrest's eyes lit up when she heard that. Before she could ask about the details, Shio added Mr. X also gave me a mission. Oh, what the fuck? He gave her a mission. Mr. X also gave me a mission that said to have a handsome rewards. It is to inform him of people around them who have abnormal luck. People who have abnormal luck. Force mutter in puzzlement. Is this man's brain working? Who will divulge things around them at such a gathering? This will make it easy for others to discover their true identities. Who knows? Perhaps he really is a lunatic. Shio didn't answer anyone with abnormal. Shio didn't know anyone with abnormal luck, so he answered without much thought. Force carefully thought for a moment, but she failed to figure out the true intentions behind this mission. All she could do was throw it back on her mind. She planned on praying to Mr. Full once Shio went back to take a bath, passing the relevant information to the world German Sparrow. So you know what? Wait, we finished the chapter. I'm actually getting kind of excited. So German Sparrow isn't gone. We might get Klein reprise his role as German Sparrow. That is so cool. Well, here, let's do overall thoughts before I forget. All right, we're going to do overall thoughts. We're going to wrap it up. We're just going to do 10 chapters. Tomorrow, we're going to come back for 10 more chapters. We're going to do 10 chapters until we pass Wiz. And it's going to work. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be legendary. I won't stream, though, during the Formula 1 Grand Prix because I do want to watch that. But we'll leave it there. All right. A lot happened. There's a lot of buildup. We keep talking about how strong, I was about to say Forz and Adam, what the, Amon and Adam are. We definitely have to get more revelations around those characters this arc. German is probably going to come back. We're probably going to have a Mr. X fight. Damn, man, that's crazy. So we finally got Mr. X, the 22nd Oracle. We finally got another character that presumes she's the main protagonist. 20 plus streams later? No. 2 streams. No, I'm telling you, we're going to have a official 24-hour stream where we will do our due diligence to read as much as we possibly can. And we're going to, as much as we possibly can, and we will play some Marvel Rivals in between to like save our voice. And we're going to have some beautiful tea. And we're going to be drinking out of our Japanese mug that we bought in Japan. I think it's going to be good. I think we're in for a good week of read-throughs. We've touched grass too much, but now it is time to lock in. So if you like what you guys are going to see, and if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. We have a new Dunkwell episode to watch on Friday. I think I am going to do a double react. Setting the atmosphere? Oh, I know. We're setting the atmosphere. We're setting the mood. I should have turned on the light to set the mood back there. But it's okay. We're setting the mood. We're setting the scenery. We're probably going to do a double react on Friday. We're going to watch... I'll start the last week's episode 30 minutes before the new episode. I'll do it an hour before the new episode. Like, knowing me, I feel like since I pause a lot, I feel like an hour is good enough. Maybe 40 minutes. We'll see. But I'm going to leave you guys. Have a beautiful day. And I'm going to see you guys all very soon, okay? Peace. Later, guys.